me the green light.
You know what I thought you were going to sing was? I thought you were going to come with the Sean Paul. Just give me the light and pass the draw. Which one is going to catch my...
Man.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going.
But if I'm going to go Sean Paul, I'm going to go like Glue. You know that song? I don't really care what people say. I don't really watch what they want to do. Still I got to stick to my girl like glue. And I may not play number two. Got a lot of cheese up in my eggs.
Yeah.
Man, Sean Paul killed that.
I know, dude. I kind of miss Sean Paul. He needs to come back.
You know, that whole half reggae, half pop was cool for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then it just went away.
Yeah.
Remember that one dude? There was like a Caribbean, like,
All right, I'm gonna start the stream again. Sorry, guys. I'm not gonna put the intro on. Just go, go with it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I know which one you're saying.
Going crazy. Turn me on. You right around me. You got me going crazy, yo. Turn me. Man, we should just do a whole singing. We should just do a whole one episode where we're singing different things. Yeah. Oh, we're like, hey.
Love me, kiss me. That's not even. You guys just caught the singing portion of Mack and Black. That's not even, like, in my opinion, the best one. The best one that I liked was the one that went, how did it go? There's somebody, she is a cutie, very special, really and truly. Take good care of me. Hey, and that's to that Sean Paul beat, too.
Yeah, that was. We talked about that. That was cool. That music was cool for like 2-3 years. Everybody was killing it with those. And then it just kind of went away. Everybody was like, all right, I'm over it.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know what? What you call it was the same way, too. Reggaeton was the same way, too.
Reggaeton, that's true.
Reggaeton was, like, so hot for a little while.
Remember the Sky... what were their names? The Sky Twins? Or what?
Oh, Nina Sky.
Nina Sky. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, they were smoking hot.
And that one song with Hold You Down.
Yeah.
Hold You Down. Yeah, no, that was a sick ass song. Sorry, guys.
All right, sorry, guys. We had small, minor technical difficulties, but we are not going to let that ruin the show. We're all good. We are taking calls, as I mentioned, in the second hour of the show, but we're going to try and get a lot of stuff because I just saw something mind-blowing about the NBA, about the Knicks' future.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to talk about that. But I do want to talk about the Stanley Cup Final. Game 7 was on Wednesday night. And if you did not see the game, I want to say, okay, have you ever watched the movie Dumb and Dumber when Lloyd accidentally killed the owl, and then when he put the champagne bottle down, he was like, man, this party really died? That's kind of what happened in Game 6 when Boston went up 2-0.
Yeah.
Because it was 1-0 for so long, but the minute Boston went up 2-0 and the energy zapped out, that the Bruins took over to take Game 6.
Yeah.
It happened again this time in Boston in Game 7. And it happened, in my opinion, when Brad Marchand did maybe what was one of the dumbest things you could ever do. The man goes on a line change right when the puck gets turned over by Boston.
There's 10 seconds left in the period.
And it was like 10 or 15 seconds left in the period. And Pietrangelo goes untouched right into Tuukka Rask and puts one top shelf.
And everybody's looking at Marchand, man.
And everyone is looking at Marchand. And I think the pivotal play of the entire hockey game was right in that middle of the second quarter when Bennington made an absolute monster leg save on, and I can't.
You
think
talking
of
about
his
Nordstrom,
name.
Joakim Nordstrom?
Joakim Nordstrom.
But here, let me. I'm so happy you mentioned that because Joakim Nordstrom's a former Blackhawk. I think it was a third period. Was it the second or third period? I want to say it was the third period.
It could have been the third.
Yeah, I want to say it was the third period
third.
because the reason why it stuck out in my mind is simply because it was 2-0 at that point.
Right.
Boston had no momentum at all. And then he gets a free shot at the goal. And you're thinking, man, it's 2-1. I think at that point there might have been close to 10 minutes left in the period.
Right.
And you're thinking, this is a new game. And all of a sudden, Bennington makes that save. And wow, what a performance by that guy. A rookie who was playing in A hockey just 2 years ago, was on the low affiliate of Boston, oddly enough, and now is a Stanley Cup winning rookie goalie.
Right.
Wow.
First goalie. Actually, the second
tied for the record of how many
16
goalie
wins
yeah.
as a rookie goalie.
Unbelievable.
Once he made that save, it was pretty much done with.
Yeah,
the Blues at that point put in 2 more goals to make it 4-0. They took Rask out with about 5 minutes left to try and get a goal. They do eventually end up getting one, but the St. Louis Blues, in the first time in their history, became the Stanley Cup champions. And here's the thing I want to say from watching that game, because I watched it pretty much from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
St. Louis looked like a team. Let me start off with this. Jesse Ventura once said in a wrestling pay-per-view that sometimes the wolf climbing the mountain is a lot hungrier than the one that's already been on top.
Right.
So we're talking about a Boston Bruins team that's been in this situation before, that has been there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they weren't trying to win. I'm just saying that the St. Louis Blues were trying to not only so much win their first Stanley Cup, but you could tell that the hunger was there.
Yeah.
You could tell that in Game 6, they were trying so damn hard to really win that cup there, but Tuukka Rask was just so good that the Blues couldn't do anything. But coming into Game 7, the same momentum that the Blues came out in Game 6 in the first period came out again in the first period of Game 7.
Right.
And this time they were able to get 2 goals on Tuukka Rask and the Bruins. And the Bruins and let me give you so much prop to the defense of St. Louis.
Yeah. Wow.
Because outside of the Binnington play that we just talked about in the third, a lot of those saves that Binnington made were easy saves that most goalies would make. No traffic. He's seeing everything. No trick plays. No nothing. So, they were getting the shots. At one point, the Bruins were actually outshooting the Blues. It had to be like 24-9, 25-9.
Yeah.
But they were 25 easy makeable, not giving Binnington any real pressure shots.
Yeah.
And it just took the win right out of the sails of the Boston Bruins.
And we talked about how physical St. Louis has been throughout this whole playoffs.
Right.
And we both know that when you play that game, it gets easy to slip into the over physical game, meaning we're just trying to hit each other and and they played really sound technical defense. Actually, they weren't necessarily just trying to go out there and lay a body check on every single person that's skating past them, and that was really good. Great forecheckers. Their forwards do a great job on defense, and that's something that the NHL is starting to see turn, where you want forwards out there who are willing defenders. And St. Louis has that, and credit to them, dude. We talked about the transformation this team has made over the last couple of years, from fielding a team that was pretty consistent for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden they have sort of this lack of success, and they go out and basically say, okay, it's time to rebuild, and not in the way that we technically think of rebuild.
Right.
When you think of rebuild, you think tear it down to the ground and get new young players and fresh blood. And they didn't do that. They went out and made good, sound acquisitions. We talked about them, already having Tarasenko there, and that was big. Bringing in O'Reilly, bringing in, Pietrangelo. We talked about, some of these guys that they made some moves at the trade deadline as well to bring in some guys. And quite frankly, what a great job of recovery from that botched signing of Allen. Where you've got this guy Allen in Buffalo who everyone loves, and he's, and next thing you know, They bring in a rookie goaltender and they ride him to the Stanley Cup.
Right.
What a as a Blackhawks fan, you have a little bit of a urge to maybe say, screw the Blues, but they did a tremendous job. They deserve that one. And Boston, quite frankly, a lot of Boston fans want to say we lost that. St. Louis. No, St. Louis came out
and they played so much better than the Blues did.
Yeah.
For maybe, I think the Blues outplayed the Bruins in at least 57 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
And at least 57.
And Boston, let's be honest, man, they don't have a lot. So when they're not going, when it's not Bergeron and Krejci and Marchand and some of their, real big hitters up front, if they're not scoring, they have a tough time. And they haven't scored. They didn't really score in the St. Louis series that much. I mean, like we talked about, Game 6 was sort of this weird thing where Rask just wouldn't let them score.
Right.
And they went up 2-0, and all of a sudden Rask was just a brick wall, and nothing was getting past him. And credit to St. Louis, man. They came into the Game 7, with that happening, and a lot of teams might have gone, oh man, we've got to figure out a different way. They didn't. They just kept playing their game. They put pucks on net. They threw pucks in front of the net, and they did their best to put pressure on Rask. And man, when you have a bonehead play that Marchand made, and then all of a sudden you score, and that momentum shift when you're on the road, and God, they're such a good road team too. Holy moly!
10-3
10-3 on the road. You almost want to play on the road. So St. Louis, man, props to them. Really, really good. Really good series played. And overall, we talked about this. This was a last place team like a couple months ago.
Yep.
That's pretty insane to think about, and they should give hope to some of these teams. My team included, who had a really rough start, and a lot of people gave up on them, and they gave up on themselves. Some teams give up on themselves too, and St. Louis didn't do that. So credit to them, and they got the cup to show for it.
Our buddy Sean Turner, who's the most diehard Blues fan I know, is on. He said, "Let's go Blues." He was saying even strength winners all series. Also, happy birthday to Sean today. Is Sean's
birthday, Sean.
And happy Father's Day to Sean too. Man,
happy
so
it's a
the double dip.
Weekend,
I know, right? Here's another thing too, because if you looked at that first goal, the first goal of this game, eerily the same way that the controversial goal, quote unquote, if that's what you want to call it, of Game 5, Tuukka Rask not covering the 5-hole on deflected pucks. The controversial goal, deflected puck off of Krug in the 5-hole. The first goal in the game, deflected puck through the 5-hole.
Yeah.
And just St. Louis was like like a shark that noticed blood in the water. And they just came after it. And I'll give, props where props is due, because, Tuukka Rask, for what it's worth, really tried to keep Boston in the game for as long as he could, but Binnington was just the better goalie and made key saves, and we keep beating the dead horse, but that save in the third was the entire game. Yeah. Because after that, Boston more or less quit. Mm-hmm. The
fans quit too,
and the fans quit as well.
Went quiet after that when they saw that on the jumbotron, that my God, he was wide open one-on-one with the goalie, and what a save by Binnington. And believe it or not, man, I mean, I've never really played hockey, but you have to imagine that is a booster for St. Louis when you see your goalie, a guy who isn't a conventional guy, who doesn't have a conventional story, isn't necessarily a superstar, isn't really known. I mean, nobody really knew this guy.
Right.
And a lot of people, let's be honest, a lot of people were giving him shit after Game 6 and saying, oh, this was, just another guy who went on a hot streak, and now we're seeing who he is. And I didn't really think that, because, quite frankly, Boston really outplayed St. Louis in Game 6. And I didn't think it was necessarily a Binnington thing.
Right.
And then Game 7 happened, and he just proves to you that he can step up when the game's on the line. And not only that, what a great job he did, like you talked about, of not having traffic in front of him, not having to make tough saves. Yeah, that has a lot to do with the guys in front of you, but that has a lot to do with your positioning as well as a goalie. Yeah. And, that's something that, as Corey Crawford and some of the guys that we've had on the Blackhawks have a tough time with. Like, you've got to find a way to maneuver around the traffic in front and get a good angle on things, and he's really good at that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So Congratulations to the Blues.
Yeah,
they definitely fought hard and won that one. And then, when we come back in next week, the NHL draft is Friday.
Yeah.
We got the NBA draft that's Thursday. We have the NHL draft that's Friday. Of course, all the rumors and stuff is coming out. I know from my team perspectively, the Buffalo Sabres have talked to New York about Jimmy Vesey, the same guy that Jimmy Vesey burned to be with the Rangers in the first place. There's been talks over there. Tanner Glass retires, and now he's in the front office with the Rangers. Obviously the Rangers holding the number 2 pick. All signs still looks like that Hughes will go 1 to New Jersey. Kakko's going to go number 2 to New York. There were some people talking about will the Rangers trade the second pick to bring in some big guy.
It would be crazy.
I don't see that. Right. I don't see that happening. So
on either of those two guys, you'd be crazy to pass.
Yeah, no, you're psycho nuts. You're psycho nuts. Unless you're giving me the entire Tampa Bay roster.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, no. Like Stamkos and all the big G's that's over there. I don't want it. So
speaking of Tampa Bay, they're a favorite to win the title next year. Yeah, okay. I mean, come on. They couldn't even make it out of the first round this year. Right. And these odds. I mean, the same guys who put these odds as the Lakers being the favorite next year. I mean, guys, they haven't made a move yet. And we're already talking about how they're the favorite.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
They're the favorite. Come on, guys. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I'm really looking forward to that NHL because I think the Rangers actually have 2 first-round picks because they have their pick, and then they have Winnipeg's pick.
Okay.
Tampa because, God forbid they couldn't win the Stanley Cup. We have their second-round pick. We traded our own second-round pick to Carolina for Adam Fox. Speaking of the reason why we have Winnipeg's first-round pick, Kevin Hayes is now in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And this should be interesting because Alain Vigneault is now the coach down in Philadelphia, and I don't know if Kevin Hayes and Vigneault were ever on the same page with one another, so it's going to be interesting on how that goes.
And yeah, Sean, we are going to be talking NBA draft and NBA finals after this one.
As a matter of fact, we're probably going to go into the next 2 minutes.
Right, soon. Yeah, my God. But let me say this about the draft for the NHL. There's this year, and I'm not as close on the NHL draft as I should be, but from what I'm reading right now, this is a 2-man race for the top player between Kakko and Hughes.
Right.
And then there's I think I saw that the Blackhawks were considering 1 of 8 players right now. That's a lot of players to consider at the number 3 pick.
Right.
Meaning the third best player could be 1 of 8 players. That's pretty nuts. That could be a smokescreen, that could be this, but that just goes to show you how the luck of the draw really gave, and New Jersey obviously they quote unquote earned that first pick,
right?
But yeah, with the Rangers, my God, what a lucky draw because one slot back and you miss possibly a generational type player.
Yep.
My God, Nick, what happened to the Warriors? Listen, it's not what happened to the Warriors. I don't want to say that because I was going to go on a rant later about how people don't want to give credit to Toronto.
Right.
Credit to Toronto, man.
Yep.
Credit to Toronto. What a great job. What a great series overall, even through the losses.
Yep.
Like, what a great job of just collecting themselves after that Game 5 and saying, listen, win one on the road and you're champions. And they, again, say what you want about the injuries. Injuries happen in this game. They've happened in 2015 to the Cleveland Cavaliers and gifted a championship to the Warriors. And now it happens the opposite way. But the big story is obviously, Nick, Kevin Durant, Achilles ruptured.
Yeah.
Full year of recovery.
Yep.
More than likely going to miss next year and probably some more. And then Klay Thompson, in an attempt to really get this team back, goes up for a contested layup, comes down on his leg. And you could actually see, and I'm surprised nobody on the TV broadcast noticed this, but you could see something in his knee kind of move.
Right.
And I was surprised after him writhing in pain. I was surprised to see him start running and jumping. It just goes to show what a freaking warrior, no pun intended, that guy is. Klay Thompson is. Not enough. Obviously, he comes out, shoots the free throws to give himself a chance to maybe come back later. I think the Warriors did a good job medically of saying, no, we're not going to let this guy go out there. We can't have this happen twice. And it turns out, I want to say it's an MCL. It's either an ACL or an MCL.
They did confirm the ACL.
ACL, okay.
Yep.
So, that's a year itself, Nick. I mean, you're going to miss two of the best players in the league next year are not going to play.
Right.
So, but congrats to the Raptors, man. They did a great job and they won it.
Well, here's the thing. I think the one of the things that we have to focus on the most, first things first, is with Kevin Durant and the question of if he shouldn't have even been out there in the first place.
Yeah.
I understand trying to win a championship. I understand, trying to cement the legacy. I understand, all that stuff that comes with it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that maybe somebody dropped the ball on this. Obviously Kevin Durant, there's, let me talk about all this because this is all going to coincide with one another. So Kevin Durant basically did his signature crossover move like he does. Mm-hmm. You can see, looks like something in his calf popped. He goes down. He's holding his ankle or, the Achilles area, walks off on his own power. And the crowd ends up cheering, seeing that he had went down. Now,
it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Okay, that's where I'm going with it because a lot of people were making me upset when it was like, oh, the Toronto fans are classless. They're this and that. No. Oh, blah, 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 blah. This is what I think happened. I'm looking at this from the outside looking in. Mm-hmm. Okay? No, I'm looking at this from the inside looking out.
Okay.
The outside looking in from an analyst and everybody from the outside looking in. It's easy to say, these guys are jerks. They're asses. Why would you cheer an injury? I think from the inside looking out, you're saying to yourself, this man on 1.5 legs just dropped 11 points on us, and the threes are still money.
Yeah.
So you see Kevin Durant potentially limping. The first thing in your head is their best player's now out. We have a chance. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And if you're a fan and you're listening and you're a hypocrite, and you're somewhat disagreeing, I'm going to call you as a hypocrite, and this is why. You're going to tell me you've never watched a football game and let's say someone's best running back has a hamstring injury and you're like, oh, snap, Zeke's out with a hamstring? Mm-hmm. Oh, man, that offense is going to suck.
We're back,
you
baby.
You just cheered the same injury. So why all of a sudden you're so upset because it was in unison, almost 38, or that's too many, about 20,000 people at the Social Bank, whatever they're calling it, up there in Toronto were cheering. And they got real quiet because then at that point, a lot of people's not really seeing per se what's going on. And so, the Warrior players are trying to act, like all holier than thou. Yeah. And then the Toronto Raptors play like, hold on, this is a little bit more serious than it looks.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, snap, my bad. But, hey, man, KD, get well better.
Yeah,
man.
now
we
they're
don't want to see
clapping
that.
for him.
Right,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you get caught up in the moment. Stuff happens. Yeah. Move on. But don't sit here and say, oh, they're classless, they're tasteless, they're this and that. You name me 3 things that Toronto fans have done that seem to be so classless and tasteless.
There's no
and then let's talk.
Yeah,
right.
and on top of that, I hate to be this guy, but it wasn't the whole arena. It was, quite frankly, it was the guy sitting in the front rows. It was the first 4 or 5 rows that you saw, some guys. And listen, guys, you're at a game. You got some liquid courage in you. You are about to win the first basketball championship the country has ever seen. There's a lot of emotions running, and I don't think it's fair to say that Toronto's classless. I think everyone who knows people from Canada, people from Toronto, and just followed this series and followed this team know Toronto is far from a classless fan.
Far from it.
So was it a lapse of judgment? Yeah, we all have that. I think you said it very well. When you're watching football and, your team is in a tight game and the opposing team's best player goes out, you're not going, I hope his career's over.
Right,
No, guys. We are saying that in this current circumstance, this game, we're still in the middle of this game, which is a very important game. And my God, they just lost their best player. It's not something to celebrate about, but you'd be lying if you were to say that you weren't happy. So listen, guys, I've sort of gone back and forth about this. Let's not judge Toronto off of that one thing. In fact, one of the Toronto fans came out and did a GoFundMe to basically as an apology to KD, a GoFundMe to donate to his charities.
Right.
So this is a country, guys, that we can learn a lot from as Americans. And I don't want to be holier than thou, but we as Americans should look at Canadians and go, that's a great example of how we should be able to treat each other and be able to kind of carry ourselves.
Right.
I don't think I've ever met one Canadian who's not nice. I've traveled to Canada. I don't think I've ever seen somebody be mean to somebody else or me in Canada. So that is ludicrous. They're a great fan base. And quite frankly, they may be the reason why Kawhi comes back. The passion, and just we talked about this in previous episodes. Kawhi, come back. You can eat free at our restaurants. We'll give you a free house. You know, the fans, the way that they react to Kawhi, and the organization, the way that they rallied around Kawhi, that has something to do with that spirit of a country. No, I 100% agree with you. It's a lapse in judgment, guys. Come on, let's be fair here.
So then we see the ACL tear, and then we see the most bonehead play of the entire NBA Finals. And I was killing Nick Nurse for it, but I don't think maybe I have to throw an apology towards Nick Nurse because maybe it wasn't Nick Nurse that did it. But Kawhi Leonard goes on a 10-0 run by himself.
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, Kyle Lowry is confused at what the play is and calls a timeout. I got to play for you. How about you give the ball to Kawhi and get out of this way and just sit your ass right there? Right. How about that play?
Yeah.
But
so wait, it was Nick Nurse or was Kyle Lowry?
I think it was Lowry.
Okay,
because Lowry, he looked at the play, he looked at Nick Nurse, he didn't know what to do, and then he ends up calling the timeout.
Right.
Okay. And it reset for Golden State, and obviously we know the outcome of that.
Right.
Klay goes on Kawhi, shuts him down. And they only scored 2 points off the DeMarcus Cousins goaltending, I don't know, which was kind of weird. And they end up winning. So then you fast forward to Game 7. The game's very back and forth.
Game 6, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Game 6, my bad. Game 6, right. Game 6.
Yeah.
It's very back and forth. You know, Kyle Lowry comes out just on fire. Really wants this ring. Wants
props
to get
to him,
stuff.
dude.
Oh,
Props
major props to him.
Yeah.
You know, for a guy that's caught so much hell for not really, quote, being there in the playoffs. Yeah. He really showed up in Game 6. They going back and forth, and then you mentioned the ACL tear of what's his name? Of Klay Thompson. Yeah. And then again, it was really still very back and forth. And then towards the end there, Toronto starts to establish themselves. And, you know, DeMarcus Cousins is playing horrible defense, takes a couple of bad shots. And for a guy whose shooting has improved from where he was when he was in Sacramento, I'm still dumbfounded how you can drain a long three but can't hit a free throw. I'll never understand it. He misses some key free throws there. And then, you know, Kawhi kind of takes over there at the
Fred
end.
Van Vliet.
And Fred Van Vliet is another one. He hits some huge threes down the stretch. Yeah. And Toronto ends up after, you know, the whole timeout, Michigan timeout play, which was weird.
And if you're going to be an ass and say, well, Draymond's got to know that they don't have any timeout, that's the right move to make. Because if he doesn't call a phantom timeout there, then the game's over anyways, guys. Right. So let's be honest with each other. Yeah, they should know how many timeouts there is, but they had no other choice at that point. Right. What are you going to do?
Right. And then so I think that the person that I really want to call out in this whole ordeal, believe it or not, is number 30 on Golden State, Steph Curry. Yeah. Steph Curry, before they put the graphic up there, is 0-7 in his career in the finals of shots under 20 seconds for go ahead. You can now mark that 0 for 8, and Steph Curry was wide open on a couple of threes.
Great draw up by Kerr. Yeah,
people considering this man to be the greatest of all time. Some consider him to be the greatest of all time shooters.
Yeah,
but the guys that you try to surpass Steph Curry up are not 0-8 in go ahead shots in the finals under 20 seconds. Or I think it wasn't even so much the finals. I think it was just the playoffs period.
Yeah.
So Steph Curry kind of had that time to where he could separate himself and put this team on his back. And him and Draymond had another triple-double. Props to Draymond.
Yeah.
But
he did make. Let me say this about Draymond. He missed a big three, and then he hit a big three, but he also had a lot of turnovers in that game.
He did.
And when Golden State turns the ball over, they're a bad team.
Facts.
And then when you've got your best, quite frankly, your best all-around player turning the ball over 8 times,
right,
you're in trouble, man.
Right.
So Draymond, listen, I know he took some responsibility for what happened after the game, but I think obviously he shares that with Steph because that's easily a go-ahead shot that wins Game 6, and we're talking about the game tomorrow now instead of talking about this.
Yep.
So, and quite frankly, Nick, I gotta say, morale-wise, for the Golden State Warriors, how are you not deflated?
True.
Your best player, who was missing pretty much all of the key games over the last 2 or 3 weeks, actually more than that, almost a month, goes out in Game 5. You know he's not coming back, and you're trying to do it for him.
Right.
And then your other best player gets injured, and you're basically stuck on an island with Curry, Draymond, and a bunch of kind of run-of-the-mill players. I know Boogie looked good at some points, but he's not the same player.
No.
I'm very interested to see what the market is for him in free agency. I feel bad for the guy.
Right.
I never want to wish this on anybody, but he is missing out on a lot of money right now due to some of the injuries that he's had, and I don't think it's going to get any better with this performance. He looked okay at times, but mobility-wise, my God, he's such a liability on defense, and that's hard. And when you got a guy like Siakam who runs like a guard and has the shiftiness of a forward and the length of a center. This guy's crazy. You need somebody who can defend him.
Right. I agree. And a piece of me thinks, though, that I think that Boogie in his mind was not going 100% because I don't think he wanted to get hurt again. I think mentally, when you're coming off an ACL tear, and then within 2 weeks of you coming back, you now tear some in your quad, and they're not thinking you're able to come back, but you're able to come back. I don't think that we saw the best of Boogie because I don't think that he's playing at 100% to protect himself. That once he gets whatever money he decides to get or he ends up getting, that it's going to be there. That's what I think with DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, we've seen him play. I mean, he's not the best defensive center out there, but at least,
he could get by on his offense.
Exactly.
And that was tough it was tough to watch him on offense at times because his footwork is so off.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the mobility laterally anymore. And it just turns into one of those things where he has to be stationary to get a shot off, to be inside. That's rough, man. You're going to have a tough time in this league being just big.
Right.
There's plenty of big guys in this league.
That's true.
You've got to have more than that. And I don't wish this on any player. I hope he goes out and gets a max somewhere. I don't care. I love the passion he plays with. I just don't necessarily think that it's going to happen, and I think it's partly to do with injuries and also partly to do with the way that he's played, quite frankly.
Right.
Like, I mean, he never got a real shot in Golden State. His time with the Pelicans, they had maybe like him and AD had like a really good 3-week run where they were really good, and everyone goes, wow, my God, Boogie and AD, and then he gets hurt. So it's going to be tough. And I do want to say, Nick, excuse me, can people now understand where Derrick Rose was coming from 5 years ago?
Yep.
When we're talking about...
great point.
Come on, Nick. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was lambasted nationally, not just locally, nationally. People throwing dirt on this guy's name about not being medically cleared and not coming back to play. Now, you see KD do it, and you got Bob Myers, the GM, crying at a press conference, saying, "I shouldn't have done that. That was my bad."
Let me make a comparison because I'm glad you brought this up, and I love parallels in this show.
Yes, please.
I was explaining this the other day to one of my buddies. Mm-hmm. We need to be at a point where owners and GMs need to be owners and GMs.
Yeah.
And the players and the doctors need to be players and doctors. And this is what I mean.
Yeah.
For every Derrick Rose and for every Kevin Durant, there's an Andrew Luck. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Remember when Andrew Luck missed the entire year with the shoulder injury? Jim Irsay came out around like week 10 or 11, and he was like, Andrew Luck's been medically cleared to play. I've seen his results. Yeah. The shoulder is fine. I don't know why he's coming back.
He can't throw 20. I mean, remember what they were talking about? He can't throw farther than 20 yards.
Right. And that's what Andrew Luck was saying. Andrew Luck is like, okay, yeah, maybe I've been cleared to play, but I'm not ready to play.
Right.
I don't want to come back, and it wouldn't make sense for me to come back. So he misses the entire year. They get Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard in the same draft. Yeah. And what ends up happening, the Indianapolis Colts went to the divisional round of the playoffs, and Andrew Luck, who should have been the MVP, had an MVP-like season.
And they're the favorites to win the division.
Thank you.
Now.
And nobody outside, there was not a single Colts fan, and I know plenty of them, that were like, oh, no, we really need Luck to come back and this and that, because they understood what was on the line.
Yeah.
So then you got to go to the Chicago situation, because Derrick Rose was medically cleared to play from that ACL tear. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's not true, because they said that he was going to miss the year. It was from the MCL tear. Yes. You know what? Let me rewind that. It was from the ACL
and he was medically cleared late into the season, very late into the season, even though the whole season they had been talking about he's not playing, guys, he's not playing. And then what happens is when they start hearing rumblings from the outside, the Bulls start putting out little tidbits. Right. By the way, we did medically clear him. By the way, we just did an evaluation for him. By the way, he's doing 5-on-5 drills, and that's planting the seed in the media and in the national sort of spotlight that this guy doesn't want to play.
Yep. And at some point, the Bulls fans were calling Derrick Rose soft and calling him a bitch and calling him this and that.
He's done. He's over,
done.
Yeah.
He's finished. We need to move on, this and that. And then he comes back and he tore he had the meniscus tear.
Yeah.
So then, he's going through the rehab again, and if I'm not mistaken, the whole scenario played out again, where Derrick Rose was told he could medically play, and he mentally just was not ready to come back. Yeah. And the Bulls were so thirsty. They were so thirsty to get this championship, because the Bulls were on this cusp of a championship.
Right.
And had Derrick Rose not went down, we could have beaten Miami. And the Bulls those fans wanted the Bulls to beat the Miami, the almighty heels that are the Miami Heat, so bad that they were willing to sacrifice Derrick Rose to come back, and he just didn't do it. And then eventually he ended up getting traded to the Knicks. Now you're seeing why you're right. You're seeing why he's doing it, because Kevin Durant, who should not have been playing had no business being out there, gave you 11 points to prolong you of one game, but now this man's about to miss the entire season. Mm-hmm. Was it a Warrior-like effort? Sure, why not? Was it a smart move? No. Does he deserve
competitive?
Right.
Yes, I'll give him that.
Yes.
The guy wants to win. He wants to help his team. Was it the smartest move for his career?
No, not at all. No. And this is where the owners and the GMs have to be owners and GMs.
Right.
At what point do you say to yourself, or actually have a set of balls and tell Kevin Durant, look, I really want you to be out there. I really want you to play. I'm not saying I don't want you to. What I'm saying is I want you to look for your future.
Yeah.
I want you to look for the future. Don't look for the now, because what I don't want to happen to have on my conscience is to force you to come into play and you end up getting hurt and we don't even get to the goal that we were supposed to.
Yeah.
And no one said that. They were all yes men. They all agreed. And now Kevin Durant's going to miss the entire 2019-2020 season.
And he's not a spring chicken. He's getting up there in age now.
And
too.
on top of that, I want to say that they ruined his career per se, but I'm just saying your selfishness as a team, your selfishness because you didn't have balls to actually be man enough to tell one of the top 3 best players in the league going right now that he should not play in the game. And as much as meaningful as it is, think about your future. Even if it's not with us.
Yeah.
I still don't want you to go down this road and hurt yourself, and you're not able to play. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's not good for the league,
and
it's not good for anybody else. And no one had the balls to tell him that, and that's why he's in the situation he's in right now.
And you know what sucks, Nick? If he had 4 years left on his contract, he wouldn't play that game.
No, hell no.
No way.
No.
They looked at this guy and they said, he's going to be a free agent next year.
Yep.
We don't know if this guy's going to come back. He probably won't come back. Let's get what we can out of him.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you've got the GM in a press conference bawling his eyes out, talking about how it was his fault and that they should have never had him out there. And, I mean, if you want to do another parallel, Nick, let's look at the Spurs.
Yeah.
Let's look at what they did with Kawhi.
Yep.
And the type of pressure this front office, and to a certain extent, listen, I love Pop, man. Pop is a legend in the game, one of the greatest people to ever bless the sport of basketball with his presence. He messed up that Kawhi situation. Yep. He fumbled that. The front office fumbled that. The media fumbled that. The fans fumbled that because all you heard from Kawhi's camp was, listen, this guy just wants to be healthy. He wants to be 100% ready to come back. And he also thinks that he deserves the opportunity to have that happen.
Right.
He's earned his shot to say, listen, I'm a tough dude. I won a championship with you guys, okay? We know what I can do when I'm healthy on the court. And selfishly, the fans, the front office, Pop to a certain extent. And to a certain extent, Nick, the players on that team sort of turned on Kawhi too.
Yeah,
when you start hearing stuff in the media, like I think it was like Aldridge or something along those lines saying, yeah, like we just got to work with the people that are here and yada, yada, yada. When in reality, man, everyone should have this guy's back.
Yep.
They should all be saying we want Kawhi when he's healthy. And this guy's one of the best players in the league. And just imagine, guys, what would happen. I mean, 11 months ago, guys, we were talking about Kawhi possibly sitting out for the season.
Yeah.
And saying he doesn't want to risk another injury on a contract year. 11 months ago that was. And now we have a guy lifting the finals MVP and the O'Brien trophy and quite frankly has now built himself a brand in Toronto and in Canada that will probably last forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be hard. And we talked about this before the mics went live, but I don't see a scenario here where Kawhi thinks that there's another more lucrative opportunity for him out there. I know that's a crazy thought to have because he's going to want to probably be courted by teams and he's going to want to field offers. But my God, he's going to be a god in Canada for the rest of his life. He's going to have the opportunity to get a max contract if he wants to. And he's going to have a shot to basically prove to everybody that he is one of those upper echelon players in the top 2 or 3. I think some people are still doubting this guy of whether or not he's a top 2 or 3 player. Listen, man, that dude made some cold-blooded plays Game 6, man, where he took the ball, he looked at the other dudes and went, go away. I'm going to do my thing now. Hitting threes, driving the back. I mean, the and ones that he had were unbelievable. This is a guy who's getting hacked 5 or 10 feet before he gets to the rim, and he's still finishing shots and ones on the road. Yep. I mean, this guy, I don't know what else he has to do to prove that he is that top elite type of player.
Right.
And now he has a chance to establish himself with Toronto. And that's all, Nick, to go back to what we were talking about, a result of Toronto having a even keeled outlook on
Yep.
his injury,
Yep.
saying we've got to give him rest days.
Yep.
We've got to make sure that we're not pushing this guy. We got to have they didn't have a minutes restriction for him, but they did watch his minutes very closely.
Yep.
And they did use advanced analytics to say, man, we can't have this guy go out on us. And they gave him occasional days off,
Yep.
and they gave him occasional practices off, and they brought in one of his best friends to be on the coaching staff, and they also had a 24/7. I just read about this over the week. They have a 24/7 medical team for this guy,
Yep.
meaning literally 2 a.m. he can have a medical team there for him. That is the way an organization should approach that type of injury.
And on top of that, Kawhi Leonard had even said, he admitted they asked him, how did Toronto kind of approach you after you were traded about the injury and all that stuff and everything. And he praised him for putting him on a plan to where he could take the amount of time that he needed for him to come back. Because you're right. Once again, Pop needs to let Kawhi the player be Kawhi the player, and you need to let you be the coach. So if your best player is telling you, you want to win that championship so bad, and you know that Kawhi is your best player, and you know that, he's the difference maker. Yeah. But if your difference maker isn't 100%, the last thing you need to be doing is hating on him for not being 100%, and then blasting him in the media for not being 100%, and then blasting him for not playing when you think he can play. Nah, if he tell you he can't do it, he flipping can't do it.
He's a competitor. You don't think he wants to be out there?
Exactly.
Like, come on.
So then when you go to Toronto, and Toronto says, you know what, you take all the time you need, we'll go ahead and, we'll build up a plan. We'll bring your rehab up, and when you're ready, then we'll use you out there and we'll put you on minutes restrictions. You come to us and let us know when we can go ahead and continue to open until you're 100%.
Yeah.
But then you challenge the rest of your guys to saying, okay, Kawhi's coming back.
Yeah.
But let's not lean on him so heavily. He's going to be there for the game plan, but we got to ease him in.
Right.
And everybody is on board. And that's what happened in Toronto. They bought into that. Now, with that conversation, that now leads to me thinking about what is New York going to do.
Right.
Because the Knicks are talking about they think they have an outside chance to woo Kawhi from Toronto to come to New York. As much as a pipe dream as I think that could be,
they should try. Yeah.
The Knicks need to stay the course.
Yeah.
And I hope that every Knicks fan, and I'm going to somehow want to clip everything that I'm going to say, and I will post this everywhere, because the New York Knicks, okay, if you've ever watched or played Yu-Gi-Oh, you would know that Yu-Gi-Oh sometimes plays cards face down.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if you somehow and Yu-Gi-Oh always has that game plan that he's waiting for you to play that one card, and
one
as soon
step
as
ahead,
you play it,
yeah.
boom, I just flipped the trap card.
Yeah.
I have multiple scenarios for the Knicks, and I only had one, but then I went on to Facebook before we were doing the show, and I seen a couple of things that intrigued me. First, the Knicks need to go ahead, stay the course, and sign Kevin Durant to whatever max deal they can. And you explain to Kevin, look, we want you on this team, even though you're hurt. We don't care about that. We want you to take all the time you need. We're going to use this year as an improved development year. We're not saying the Knicks need to go out there and win titles, but what I do want the Knicks to be is not another 17-win team. I want this team to win anywhere between 30 and 42 games.
And start to learn to win games, right?
Bingo. Yeah. Learn how to win games.
Yeah.
Exactly. I keep hitting this mic. Learn how to win games, okay?
Yeah.
So then you sign Kevin Durant, but then you start signing little pieces here and there. And then this is where the whole game gets interesting, because Brooklyn is talking about they have etched in stone signing Kyrie Irving. That is a blessing to the Knicks, because I feel that you would have made a mistake giving a max contract to a guy that doesn't play defense. Fine. He wants to be in Brooklyn? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about that Brooklyn is going to let D'Angelo Russell come in. That's where the Knicks come in. I wasn't even thinking about getting a point guard because we have DSJ, and we have Ntilikina,
and Moutier.
People forget Moutier still.
Moutier can come back.
But
too,
you bring in a scoring, free-flowing, consistent scoring, free-flowing guard in D'Angelo Russell. Okay, we can work with that. Then you're going to keep the third pick because God knows you're not trading that nonsense to the Pelicans and a whole bunch of pieces for Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So you're going to take your third pick. You're going to draft R.J. Barrett, 6'7" wing out of Duke, 200 pounds. The ceiling's the sky. You know what I'm saying? Or the sky's the ceiling, however the hell it goes. And then, so now you got D'Angelo, RJ, Kevin Knox, and then I read about this. What if the Knicks go out and not give him a max? I don't think we're talking about giving him a max.
Yeah.
But you're going to need a 4.
Sure.
How about Julius Randle? He's finna come off the books now. I think he is a free agent per se.
He's a UFA, yeah.
But they're finna draft Zion to take his spot. I give Julius that bread.
Yeah.
Then you come, you bring in Mitchell Robinson. Well, Mitchell Robinson's already there. But how about DeAndre Jordan? Yeah. How about you bring him for the veteran minimum and have him keep working low-key with Mitchell Robinson? So now you got an established squad. And you tell KD, when you come back, you now turn this team from a 40-win team to a 50-win team.
Yeah.
And we're giving you all the time we need.
And you don't even have to come back right away.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
We don't need you to come back right away. Stay the course. Because the mistake I feel like the Knicks are going to do is they're in this win now mentality.
Right.
And the Knicks don't need to. The reason why I'm kind of happy and not happy the Knicks got the first round pick. The first overall pick. Sure, I would have loved Zion Williamson in New York.
Of course.
But then once you got Zion, now you're trying to make this super team. And does that really make us better now? Does it make us better
without Durant?
6-7 years
without
down
Durant, let's just say this, right? Without Durant playing right away, that whole Zion thing would have been kind of you would be looking at it like, okay, now we got to look at this differently.
Exactly.
Durant's not going to be playing this year.
Right.
And even if you were thinking about maybe bringing Kyrie in, now that's gone.
Right.
And a lot has changed. So I certainly agree with you, man. There's got to be. We do need to get to our read, but I do want to mention Masai Ujiri for a second.
Okay.
And I also want to use him as sort of an example as to what franchises like the Knicks, the Lakers, the Bulls can start to think about.
Right.
Masai Ujiri is a guy who's had a lot of success in this league as a front office guy. He did it in Denver, I believe. He's done it in a couple different areas, and he now in Toronto. Over the last 2, let's start from the beginning. This is a team that has been really good in the East for 4 or 5 years, but has never been able to get through LeBron. LeBron leaves, okay, and Masai Ujiri all of a sudden has the opportunity to make what I would think is a mistake and say, well, LeBron's gone now, and we can stay put, and we can have this team that we've had for so long, and now we're going to be able to go in there with DeRozan and Lowry and Valanciunas and everybody, and we're a better team now because LeBron's gone. And he had that opportunity, and he said, nah, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get a guy that I think could change the franchise.
Yep.
I'm going to trade really good players for him.
Yep.
And what I'm going to do is, during the season, I don't know if I have enough here. I'm going to go out and get Marc Gasol. And I'm going to trade some really good young pieces as well, in addition to some picks, Valanciunas, DeLon Wright. I know that they gave up another wing in that deal, and some picks. And a lot of people looked at them kind of crazy. Like,
right.
Well, you got a deep team now, but did you really need to do that? And then people were kind of looking at him crazy with this whole Siakam deal, too,
right.
a couple of years ago, where they're like, a guy with that skinny who doesn't really have that type of, physical mentality, is he going to be able to make it as a 4 or 5 in this league?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, now, a year later, we're looking at one of, obviously, the best team in the league now. And now, one of the most well-put-together teams in the whole league. I mean, we're talking about an undrafted free agent, Fred VanVleet, who all of a sudden plays one of the biggest roles on the team.
Yeah.
You got Kyle Lowry, who over the last 5 or 7 years has been the same player.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, and it's easy to be an armchair quarterback and say, oh, that guy is average, and we've done that a couple times, and I'm not a huge fan of his game, but you got that guy who was the same player, and then all of a sudden now you surround him with the right type of talent, and this guy's a game changer now.
Yep.
So if you're the Bulls, if you're the Knicks, if you're the Lakers, don't go safe. Play your game, and don't worry about what people are going to say, because the Bulls right now are in the midst of possibly looking at being the third team in a Lakers-Pelicans deal, and a lot of people are talking about them giving up Zach LaVine. Now, listen, I hate Garpax just like every other Bulls fan, it seems like, but I'm not really opposed to that.
Right.
I would like to see them shake things up a little bit. I like LaVine. Do I think he's worth the contract? Not yet, but I think he might have a chance to be, and that's why it's a good selling piece. So, if you are a franchise that's on sort of on the fringe right now, which the Lakers, the Knicks, the Bulls, I mean, even to a certain extent, Brooklyn had a good season this year.
Yes,
they're on the fringe too, man, because without D'Angelo now, this is sort of a different team, right? You're not seeing the same, high flying kind of, heavy shooting team. So if you're one of those teams, man, just stay like you're saying, stay the course.
Stay the course.
Be yourself. Don't go safe, and make the moves that you think is gonna make you not necessarily a champion next year, but a champion eventually.
Right.
once your formula kind of comes together.
You got to, like, the thing is that the Knicks can almost benefit from even looking at a team like the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
They did the whole trust the process stuff, which landed them guys like Ben Simmons, which landed them guys like Joel Embiid. They had they cut their losses with him with Markelle Fultz.
Yeah.
Some of these high draft picks, and then what do they go out there and do? You sign a JJ Redick, a veteran. You sign you bring in what do you finish up? I think Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris, yeah.
You
and then Butler. Traded for Jimmy Butler.
And you bring in Jimmy Butler as well. So my thing is that, again, a lot of people want to make fun of the Knicks because it's the Knicks and they've sucked. And I completely understand.
They're easy targets.
They're very easy targets. But I like Kevin Knox's game. I said this in the beginning of the year, that my thing with Kevin Knox is he's like the poorest man version of Giannis. Where
still raw,
still super raw.
Yeah.
But he had a few things that I saw him do in New York with the Euro step. Like he's kind of got that Euro step, that long Euro step like Giannis. It's definitely not as close as polished as Giannis, but it has the potential to be there.
Yeah.
I think the difference between Knox and Giannis is Knox is not afraid to shoot. Giannis kind of is.
Right.
That's the difference. And obviously, Giannis is a lot stronger and he's, a lot more polished. But at the same time, I've seen videos. Kevin Knox is in the gym. He's working on his shot. Yeah. He's working on his
He'll be playing the summer league this year.
He's playing the summer league. These are the kind of things that let me know that the Knicks don't trade Knox. Don't trade RJ Barrett, who has clearly stated of all the NBA teams he wants to go to, he wants to play in New York. I have not heard a rookie or even a free agent be so happy to want to go to New York since RJ Barrett. That's got to mean something.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And Jamil, my cousin, just asked us a question. I do want to get to that. But first, let me read one of our sponsors here, Nick. Are you moving, removing, or need space? Hodgepodge of Chicago has you covered. Home, business, office, industrial, retail, or construction sites, Hodgepodge does it all. Convenient pickup and delivery from and to your door with 48-hour notice. They'll move your junk and keep it out of the waste stream. Their professional movers will ensure that your possessions arrive safely at your doorstep. We're talking on-demand storage, junk removal, self-storage services, sustainable hauling, packing and unpacking, moving, protection, bonded and insured for your protection. Guys, if you're looking for moving or if you're looking to move and you're looking for storage, choose Hodgepodge. Your unwanted items don't just end up in a landfill. They are donated to people who need them. So for more information, please, guys, go to gohodgepodge.com. Again, that's G-O, Hodgepodge, HODGEPODGE.com. My cousin Jamil asks, as of today, with KD's injury and Kyrie maybe joining the Nets, do you think KD will actually sign with the Knicks, or will he stay with Golden State? Nick, I'll get your opinion first, because I think
he will. I think he's going to sign. I think he's going to sign with New York. I still think that there are a lot of the signs that he had to foot out the door.
Yeah.
I know this kind of changes per se, but I still think that the Knicks are still going to talk to Kevin Durant. They're still going to give him the pitch. They're still going to say, they're going to say, exactly what he wants to hear, what he likes, and this and that. And like I just said, now you're going to have to change your pitch to a point to where you say, okay, take the time you need.
Yeah.
If you need a year and a half, we'll give you a year and a half.
Right.
So that means if you don't come back till the All-Star game of 2021, the Knicks need to be like, look, then you don't come back then. We're going to work.
You'll be 100%. I
want you 100%.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the benefits. So I think with the Knicks right now and that their state that they're in, they need to go out there and still sign KD. Yeah. I would not put so much effort into Kawhi because I really don't think he's going to leave. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you bring in Kawhi, which, again, I'm not opposed to, how does that work with RJ Barrett? Because
let me say this. RJ right now, Nick, is projected to possibly start out at the 2.
Yeah, that's where I would want.
Now, if Kawhi came in there and you had him at the 3, and then you've got a plethora of point guards. We already talked about that.
Right.
The team has a great center, possibly on the verge of an all-defensive center in Mitch Robinson.
Right.
And they just really need a 4 from there.
Right.
That's not that terrible of a haul, right?
No, it's not at all.
If you're the Knicks, you're like, wow, I got to keep the number 3 pick.
Right.
I got Kawhi somehow out of Toronto.
Right.
And now all I have to do is you could possibly go out and grab Julius Randle at that point.
Right.
So, listen, I'm kind of on your side with this. I don't necessarily think KD is going to change his mindset
I don't think
with
so
free agency.
Right.
Now, on the flip side of that, teams are 100% going to change their approach to KD
easily.
And how they approach him. But I will say this, and I said this to you when I walked in, Nick, I'm not really going to be surprised if Golden State says, okay, we've got probably the number 30 pick in the draft this year.
Right.
And we're going to have two players possibly that are upcoming free agents. I think Clay's father, Michael Thompson, came out and said he's a lock to resign now.
Yeah.
So that eliminates him from any conversation of going anywhere else. He's going to get a max with them. I don't see any scenario where he doesn't get a max. But let's say this. If you are Kevin Durant's agent and you get into a room with him and it's all really sad right now, right? You're going to be out for the season. This is a tough injury to come back from.
Right.
Players have done it throughout sports, but it's tough. Would his people come into a room and say, listen, Kevin, we could possibly get a bridge deal here with Golden State. I know that's not what you want.
Right.
I know that's not what we want.
Right.
But if I can convince Golden State to give us a 2-year deal with considerable, let's keep you at the salary you're at right now, because he's not making max money right now.
No, it's not.
He's probably, any other team in the league would 100% give him a max, right? New York would throw the max at him right away. They don't care if he'd have to miss a year. If Golden State says, we'll give you a 2-year deal, and we'll let you prove that you can come back in 2021, even if we have to, whatever. If this is a lost season, it's a lost season. But you come back and you get to basically play on that dynasty type team and get one more championship and have one more shot at free agency. That's a tough pitch. Okay. Right. It's a tough pitch. I'm not going to deny that. It's hard to tell a guy who's right now not going to play for a year and a half possibly, don't take a max deal somewhere. Like that's a tough sell. But if you're Kevin, dude, you better be really, really, really thinking about your future right now.
Yep.
And not just, what could possibly happen if I come back, at the beginning? No. We're talking career perspective here.
Right.
What are you going to do for the rest of your career now, Kevin? Because we don't necessarily know. And if you go out there and take a 4-year deal from the Knicks, we're talking 4 years here. You're getting max money, but you have to start to think about what type of player you're going to be when you come back, what type of game you want to play. There's a lot of stuff to review here. So I do personally think that you're probably on the right track, right? The Knicks have the money to throw at him. Even the Clippers, okay? Now that Klay is eliminated probably from the equation, the Clippers have to be all in on both Kawhi and KD.
Yep.
Now, would they prefer Kawhi? Yes, but I don't think Kawhi would probably think of them as a destination at this point. I think he would probably just rather stay in Toronto.
Right.
Because Toronto, oddly enough, can bring back this whole team next year.
Yep.
This whole team will be untouched next year. That's hard to deny if you're Kawhi. So, I think I'm on your side with that, man. I think there's a certain level of thought process that has to go into this. I'm not exactly sure where they're at right now, so we'll see.
And my thing is, too, if you're going to tell me that going into the season that my starting 5 could potentially be D'Angelo, RJ, Knox, Julius Randle, or Tobias Harris, depending on if they decide to go back because they're both unrestricted free agents.
Yeah.
And Mitchell Robinson, it's not the sexiest starting 5. It's not the
there's
starting
45.
5
There's 45 wins in that team
there
somewhere.
There could be 45 wins in that team.
Yeah.
And that's
and in the
then,
East, you're making the playoffs
easily. And then if you focus even more. Then you look at your bench. It could be DSJ, ISO Zoe, DeMar Dotson,
it's a deep team.
DeAndre Jordan if he decides to stay. Whatever other forward that you might have.
Fizdale likes using a lot of players too.
He does.
So when you get 11 players that can possibly play, that's playing to your coach's strengths.
And Alan Hahn, who's one of the Knicks beat writers, just tweeted that the Nets are willing to part ways with D'Angelo Russell if and when Kyrie signs with Brooklyn. And he's saying the Knicks will be foolish not to. He expects them to jump on it, and I don't blame him because you're just going across the street.
Yeah.
If you liked Brooklyn, okay,
you'll love New York.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just
imagine if you bring the same type of thing you brought to Brooklyn to New York. I mean, Brooklyn went crazy, but you don't think Madison Square Garden would be nuts if you brought them to the playoffs?
And it's so funny because think about it. There were guys, Phil Jackson when. Both KP and D'Angelo came out in the same draft. Remember, he got fined because they asked him about D'Angelo Russell, and he said that he would love him on the team.
Sure.
And he got fined for tampering, apparently.
Yeah.
But they ended up getting KP because D'Angelo went to L.A.
Right.
And then here we are, a couple years after that.
Yeah.
You now got Dennis Smith Jr., when there was all the hype thinking that you were going to grab him, and then you went out and got Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah.
I think with Frank, I'm glad I brought his name up because while we're still on the subject of the NBA, I did want to bring this up.
Yeah.
I hate to jump thoughts, but I'll forget about it. That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, right. Me too, man.
I've been hearing a lot of this stuff. I know the Bulls need a point guard, and I know that they're kind of linked to D'Angelo Russell as well a little bit. But if I'm Chicago, I'm trying to figure out a way. Like, this is what I'm saying. Of everything that we're talking about when it comes to free agency and everything, the one team that we really haven't brought up per se have been the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
But the team that has so much pressure per se on them with everything going on, it's the Los Angeles Lakers.
They're the freaking favorites to win the championship next year. They haven't done anything.
And on top of that, what happens if the Lakers strike out? Right. We're always talking about what if the Knicks swing and miss, and what if the Bulls swing and miss, and what if the Clippers swing and miss. What if LA swings and misses?
Not a lot of options after the top.
It's
4
not
or 5,
because think about it. there's reports. You know what? We'll do it now. We'll go ahead and open up the phone line
go
now.
ahead, Nick. Yeah.
312-869-4117 is the phone number if you want to call the show. I'll say it again. 312-869-4117 is the phone number.
Check the comments. I believe Steve, our producer, is going to go ahead and throw that in the comments section.
Bingo, it's right there on the show.
Yep.
It's right there up the top. So if you want to call in, you can talk about whatever you want. We're going to get into the UFC 238 coming up here in a little bit. We're right now talking NBA, free agency, draft talk.
Guys.
We'll talk whatever you want to. The thing with, so.
Frank.
Because here's the thing. AD, now I saw something from Brian Windhorst where the Celtics are actually coming into the picture of this whole AD thing.
Right.
The only problem is that they don't want to really sell the farm. They're willing to give up pieces, but they don't want to sell the farm because AD and his agent, Rich Paul, obviously said that Boston, they will not re-sign with him. So let's just play devil's advocate. Let's just say that New Orleans is like, you know what? I don't want to trade AD in our same conference. Right. The Boston Celtics, for everyone in the East, the Knicks are not listening to what we want. They're not going to give up all the pieces. Thank God. And then Boston's like, look, I'll give you Jason Tatum, and I'll give you. I got you, brother. I'll give you Jason Tatum, and then I'll give you, a couple other pieces that's not big-time draft picks. I mean, it's not like they only have in the middle.
They've got a ton of draft picks.
Yeah, and I think they got the 13th or 14th from this year. So you package in maybe a couple of draft picks, and then you throw in Jason Tatum for Anthony Davis, and let's say they bite. LA is in a lot of trouble because I also have people keep hitting me up thinking that Jimmy Butler might sign a max deal with the Knicks. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard about it. I'm against it.
He has been linked to the Lakers, though.
And he has been linked to the Lakers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Los Angeles Clippers came in and say, look, I know that's LA. I know that's the Lakers.
Right.
But hold on. Let me talk to you real quick about
the
Red
man
White.
here.
You can be the man. You ain't got to be no sidekick to this fool.
Right.
You can be the man.
Yeah.
So what if the Lakers end up striking out? Because I'm going to tell you what. There's all this talk that Los Angeles wants to part ways with Lonzo Ball. I think the biggest mistake the Los Angeles Lakers could do is trade Lonzo Ball. Because Jason Kidd is now on that staff with Frank Vogel.
He's going to help. Yeah.
Lonzo Ball is nothing more than the 2018 version of a young Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
When Jason Kidd first came into the league, he had great defense. He could pass the ball,
just never had
but
a
he
shot.
Couldn't shoot. They was calling him Acing Kid because he had no J.
No J, yeah.
Well, let's look at Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is really good defensively. He loves to distribute, but his shot's not necessarily there that much.
And he was a difference maker on the court when he was with the Lakers last year. People forget that when he was on the court, that Lakers team didn't look that bad. And when he went down, that's when things started to really go sour for him.
Right. Like, I know LeBron James missed a lot of games per se during that stretch, but they weren't as bad defensively.
Right.
Until what's his name went down. Lonzo went down.
Yeah.
You can make fun of LeVar Ball all you want and everything, and I know he says a lot of things that rub people the wrong way.
He's gone away, yeah.
But LeVar Ball has been spot on about a lot of things that's been happening in L.A., and we all said,
what did he say about Luke Walton? I mean, come on, guys.
What did he say about Luke? What did he say about Magic?
Yeah.
He said Magic.
He doesn't know who's running. Remember, he went on First Take and said, I don't know who's running things right now. So yeah, and then Magic came out and confirmed it. Honestly, Nick, the most important dynamic this offseason is between two of the top franchises this league has ever seen, the Celtics and then the Lakers. The Celtics have a chance to do what Toronto did last year, which is to say, screw unconventional.
Yep.
We're going to go in, we're going to buy this player with assets that we really love, but we believe in this player.
Yep.
And AD could come in there, and if they can surround him with the right type of talent, they could make a run next year.
Right.
Now, the Lakers, quite frankly, don't have the type of leeway that Boston does. Boston has Tatum. Boston has Brown. Boston has Hayward. Listen, Boston's going to be fine next year, guys. I mean, Kyrie leaving is not that great. Boston's going to be fine. They have the talent to do it. The Lakers, if they strike out on AD, if they strike out on some of these bigger players, we're talking about the same team coming back next year. The Lakers really need a third team in a trade. Quite frankly, and I've read a lot about this, New Orleans doesn't see a lot of value in the number 4 pick. But that's one of the main thing that the Lakers have to offer. They don't have a ton to offer, guys.
Right.
So they are thinking of maybe flipping that 4th pick to a third team and possibly bringing in another player to send to LA, possibly bringing another player to them. I know the Bulls have been linked to that, possibly sending LaVine over to the Lakers with AD, and basically they would dismantle that team with pretty much everyone except Kuzma leaving that team.
Right.
I don't necessarily see that happening. The logistics of that is just kind of too big right now. But if you're the Bulls and you're thinking, okay, maybe we have a shot to pick up Lonzo Ball, I would say do it. And the reason why I would say do it is because there's no lock point guard at the pick that we're at right now. I believe we're at 7.
Yeah.
There's no lock. I mean, Kobe White could go as soon as 5.
Yep. To Cleveland.
And I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts that the Bulls want to draft Jarrett Culver. I love him as a shooter.
Right.
But I talked about this 2 shows ago, Nick. The Bulls are not in a best player available type of situation right now. They need a point guard. And we don't have a lot of financial flexibility. Zach LaVine got paid. Otto Porter we traded for. He's making a max money next year. You're going to have to pay Lowry soon in another year and a half. You're going to have to figure out things with Wendell Carter soon. Chris Dunn is a free agent after this year. There's a lot of things the Bulls have to think about here, and one of them is possibly thinking, do we really value the number 7 pick that much?
Right.
And if they don't, is it possible to maybe say, okay, let's make a deal where the Pelicans, the Lakers, and the Bulls can all come out on top? And I think there is a deal there that can happen. If I'm talking frankly, the Lakers have to get this done ASAP. Like 3 or 4 days before the draft.
Right.
This can't be a draft day trade.
Right.
They have to go out there, be aggressive, knowing that right now, listen, they're not the most lucrative place to go to right now. Nope. People are looking at the Clippers. We both have read these reports. People are looking at the Clippers differently now.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the stepchild of LA, and they'll never be the Lakers. But there is talks now of the team possibly moving out of the Staples Center. There's also talks that the team is thinking about basically putting in salary cap type money into advertising, marketing, and trying to go outside the box this offseason.
Right.
I already talked to you about how they wanted to buy the rights to the claw from Nike so that they could give it to Kawhi in any sort of trade negotiation. So they're thinking outside the box, and the Lakers don't have that right now.
Right.
And the Lakers are down on people's lists. That whole Magic Johnson situation, Nick, was embarrassing, dog.
Totally embarrassing.
When you got a guy talking about how the guy I'm teaching to basically the guy I'm essentially molding into what he's going to be in my position one day is insubordinate, telling other people that I don't show up to the office. And on top of that, they're overriding his decision. He's a president of basketball operations, and he couldn't fire the coach.
Right.
The Lakers right now are not in a good position.
No, they're not. And I got a friend that's a diehard Lakers fan, and
I feel sorry.
He's swearing up and down that all these reports that he's seeing is that the Lakers have a done deal and they didn't want anybody to leak anything. That's why you're not really hearing too much.
Good try.
And I think I honestly think that he's really going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. Everyone talks about the Knicks being a headache of a franchise. The Lakers make the Knicks look like heaven compared to what's going on down there in LA. Because at the end of the day, I just feel like the whole I want to play with LeBron James game is. I think that ship has sailed.
It's fading.
It's fading real fast because, there's a lot of uncertainty around LeBron James. LeBron James is now going into his 17th year in the league. You know, we know he's the best in the world. We know that he's gifted. We know how much of an athlete that he is. We also know that LeBron James has missed a lot of games over the last 2 years of injury. You know, how long, can he maintain the level that he's been playing at right now? So, yeah, you might say, oh, it's LA, we're in the win now situation. But if I'm Jeannie Buss, I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, wait a minute. First off, I almost traded his dumb ass last year.
Right, yeah.
Second off, okay, I got Brandon Ingram that's decent, even though isn't he the one that almost has that career?
Yeah, he's gonna be fine, but it's I believe it's due something to a tattoo, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and
something to do with his arm. They have come out and did some damage control and said that he's fine. Okay, he'll be fine for next season.
So you're gonna have Ingram, and then Kyle Kuzma seems to be like the blue chip and everything because the Lakers think that they can convince New Orleans to take a package deal that's not included in Kuzma.
Who else are you going to give up? I mean,
exactly.
Come on,
Like, who else you trying to give up? Yeah. So, like Josh Hart or something like that. No, God, who knows? So I think I'm with you. I think that the Los Angeles – and here's the thing about the Clippers too. The Clippers can go out and be like, look, we're L.A., minus the headache.
Sure.
And just say it just like that.
The circus, too. Like on the Lakers.
Yeah, we're Los Angeles. We're playing, and even though we're going to be moving out, we still share the Staples Center, but you don't have to deal with that. That's like in the movie Wedding Crashers. At the end,
my favorite.
When Owen Wilson was like, I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm just asking you not to marry him.
Yeah, right.
So the Los Angeles Clippers are basically like, look, I'm saying I want you to join us, but we're not them.
Right.
And so what do you want to do? It's like, I keep bringing up all these shows. I watch too much TV. It's like when in The Simpsons, where Maggie is walking and they were trying to baptize the Simpsons, the Flanders was. And she's standing there, and on the right is the angelic Flanders family. And then on the left is the Simpsons, and they're looking on. Now, I know she chose the Simpsons, but that's what it's looking like. These are the Clippers. These are the Lakers.
And the Clippers, Nick, if we're talking roster-wise, the Clippers have a better roster right now.
Yeah,
LeBron is on the Lakers, but and I'm seeing a lot of reports basically saying there's no chance that the Lakers let AD slip, that they're going to figure out a way, that they have to, because again, we talked about this in previous shows, Nick. Paul George said no to the Lakers.
Yes, he did.
He had an easy route to go and basically team up with LeBron this year, and chose not to. Why would Kawhi or why would somebody else say no? I want to go play with LeBron. It's not there yet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And what was I going to say? Oh, you know what the Clippers roster reminds me of? It was the Knicks roster before they traded for Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, yeah, with like Gallinari. And,
just the depth, and everyone was playing together, and everything was gelling, and everybody knew their role.
Yeah.
And, you kind of got that one guy that's the superstar, but you didn't need another one, and this and that and everything else.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Lakers, and it's just LeBron.
Right.
And everybody else.
And the Clippers don't have to people forget that that's a huge that's a huge kind of, that's a huge sort of selling point, is that the Clippers don't have to sell anything.
Right.
They could bring back Shaman. They could bring back Lou Williams. They can bring back Gallinari. They can bring back more Trez Harrell.
Yep.
They've got a team over there, man.
Yep.
And the Lakers, quite frankly, dude, if they don't pull off this AD trade very soon, they're gonna be in some real big trouble, because also, Nick, people forget that salary-wise, in order to bring in a second player, if I'm not mistaken, they have to get rid of some of these. I know that Lonzo's, I think, owed like close to $7 million next year because he was a high draft pick. You got Kuzma, who's like on a rookie deal himself. You got Ingram, who's a top two pick himself on a pretty big contract next year, and a contract year for him. Money-wise, they have to get rid of some guys too. So I see them, quite frankly, Nick, before our show next week, I think the Lakers need to pull the trigger.
And here's another thing too. I think what the Lakers are trying to do, and this is where the fans become so delusional sometimes.
Yeah.
The Lakers are trying to say we're the Lakers.
Right, selling the franchise.
You're selling the
team.
franchise, right? Like, because everyone dogs the Knicks about it. Well, what's so famous about Madison Square Garden? And why would you want to play there and this and that and blah, 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 and all this other stuff?
You mean the Mecca of basketball?
Right, exactly. But I feel like the same thing's happening now in L.A. Why wouldn't you want to play in L.A.? It's nice out here.
Hollywood.
It's beautiful. It's Hollywood. Blah, 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 this and that. And there has to be a reason why Paul George, who was so linked to the Los Angeles Lakers
for 5 years.
For 5 years,
yeah,
said I'll stay in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and Nick, you have to remember, the Lakers have had success in the past with free agents.
Yep.
They brought in Shaq, remember?
Yep.
And they said, no, we sold the Shaq the legacy of what happened with Wilt and Kareem. And they also, quite frankly, I just saw the documentary the other day. They sold Kareem on that out of Milwaukee.
Yep.
So they are looking at it like, well, we've done it before. And it's like, bro, it's been a long time since people looked at the Lakers like the Lakers. When Kobe retired, guys, the Lakers lost their luster, and they thought they bought that luster back with LeBron. And I don't think they're quite there yet.
No, they're not quite there yet.
Yeah. And guys, I do want to remind you, we are taking calls this show. We probably will be taking calls probably for every single show coming up. Give or take maybe a couple to do with our thoughts on the NFL stuff. But again, the phone number, guys, 312-869-4117. Please give us a call if you have anything to talk about at all. So yeah, Nick, so again, with this whole offseason now, what a change it's been over the last week. Even the injuries, and then now Kyrie's is set to stay put. Clay is going to stay put. You have doubts about Durant now. You got doubts about Kawhi now, because Kawhi, why would he want to leave there now? A lot has changed, and a lot is going to change after the draft, too. People forget that once the draft happens, that's when the real free agency stuff happens.
Right.
So we'll see exactly what happens with the NBA. It's creeping up on us, and quite frankly, it's going to happen fast. It usually happens within like 2 or 3 days. You start to see guys, moving here or there.
Right.
Yeah. So with that being said, and by the way, again, guys, the phone number 312-869-4117. Call us if you have anything here.
Looking at the draft, because the draft is this upcoming Thursday.
Yeah.
It is on Thursday. I'm looking at a couple of mock drafts, and as you mentioned, Kobe White being on to 5. Darius Garland is supposed to be the 4th pick, but see, here's the thing too. I think somewhere in New Orleans they were hoping to God that they would get the Knicks to jump in, because I think
with the number 3 you're saying.
Yeah, because I think that New Orleans wants to pair Zion with RJ,
which is a great, and we talked about it in previous show. That's a great marketing thing. That's a great on the court thing. It makes sense, but props to the Knicks, man. They're sticking to the
course.
Yeah,
sticking to the course. I'm looking at some of these guys. Jared Culver,
who I like, but
I like him too. But I
don't think he's there. Yeah.
Yeah, is he really the 7th pick? Because here's what's scary. I remember when there was so much hype over Wally Zerbiak when he came out of Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that had a few good games
in the tournament,
and he somehow turned into like the 5th or 6th pick by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jared Culver kind of reminds me of the same thing. Like, Texas Tech had this amazing run to the Final Four, and Jared Culver had this amazing run in the tournament finals. Okay, that's great. But where was this kid's name? And don't get me wrong.
You never heard of him before the.
Thank you. And I'm not trying to diss.
But people were talking about him going to the tournament. But once that tournament happened, they were starting to beat some legit teams.
Yeah.
Everyone looked at him and said, "Oh, we think of
right." So is this guy going to be like a legit player in the NBA, or is this guy just another Wally Zerbiak? A guy we put all this hype and all this talk in, and really hasn't really amounted to anything.
Yeah.
They're talking about him going to 7th, and Cam Reddish, who a lot of people think has the highest ceiling out of everybody in
Yeah,
this.
interesting to see him drop
All the way to 8.
And some people have him dropping out of 10. I mean, I don't see that happening.
Right.
Some people have him dropping as low as 10, maybe
Yeah.
even 11. So that's crazy. We talked about this draft as being like deep. And a lot of people are saying, well, this isn't a deep draft. But my God, when you start to look at some of the prospects that are on the board at 17, 18, 19, 20, and into the late 20s, you're thinking, wow. I mean, yeah, it's very top heavy. It's hard to argue with that. Very top heavy draft. But when you've got guys available in the late 20s that would probably go in the top 10 in other years, that's deep to me, man.
Like Bol is on that list.
And I know there's injury stuff about him, but man, and any other, I mean, can you remember some of these European guys that used to go because they were 7 foot and could dribble the ball, and people were drafting them at like number 2 or number 3?
Yep.
Bol would have been one of those guys. He has a little injury problem, and now he's dropping to the 20s and possibly could go to the freaking Warriors. I saw he was linked to the Warriors at some point.
And you're also talking about like a Hashim Thabit.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about him, the former UConn center that was so good, but just never panned out. And I think he was drafted to Oklahoma City. He just never panned out.
Yeah.
So that's a good
and
point.
Bol
right
does
there,
need to, let's be honest, guys. I think the last time I checked, he was at 200. He was like 7'2", 210.
Freaking
listen, he needs to put on weight and he needs to put on muscle.
Weight.
But he's going to be a guy in 4 years, Nick, that I think everyone looks back and goes, people overlook this guy really heavily. The guy can dribble, pass, shoot, rebound, block, and he's got we've never seen a guy with this type of frame before. Even his dad, and people were trying to compare him to his dad. His dad was more so tall. This guy he can jump, he can run, he can dribble. He's a guy that's going to be, underrated. And I think in another couple of years, when he puts on that weight and strength, we're going to be talking differently about him.
Right. I'm just looking at Cam Reddish because, like I said, everyone thinks that this kid is the one that has the.
He could be the best player in this draft after 4 years. I mean, obviously Zion is Zion, but Cam, he was overlooked at Duke, and because he didn't get off to a good start with Krzyzewski. Reddish did. He came in and had a hard time playing defense, had a tough couple games, and then he got benched.
Right.
And I think people started to look at him differently, but previous to the season, Reddish was above Barrett in a lot of people's boards.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's dropped, to as low as 10. So that's interesting.
And I'm looking at R.J. Barrett and some of the NBA comparisons to him to Danny Granger.
Oh wow! Danny Granger.
I was always looking at as R.J. Barrett to me to kind of be impactful, kind of like Paul George. Like he's like
a lot of people like to call. You know
what I'm saying? And my thing is like I can see RJ. RJ's at 210 now, 6'7", 210. Mm-hmm. I can see him in his third year maybe being maybe 220, 225, being a big.
He may slide to 3 eventually.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, in an NBA where a lot of stuff is so wing-orientated and so guard-orientated.
Yeah.
To have that wing. And that's one thing that the Knicks haven't had in a very long time. They tried it with 2 stints with Tim Hardaway Jr., and he just never figured it out.
Yeah.
And
he's on the trading block again with the Mavericks.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, I mean, you like Tim Hardaway, he has the athleticism, he has the tools, but I just don't understand why you're not putting it all together.
His shot is not consistent enough, too. Like, there's some days where you give him the shots and he can score you 20 plus points efficiently, and there's other days where he has to shoot it like 20 times to get 20 points. So,
and another thing that frustrates me about him, too, is that, what was I going to say with him? The one thing that frustrates me about Tim Hardaway Jr. is, there's a lot of guys that can't guard you. There's a lot of guys that can't stand in front of you.
Right. So stop settling.
Stop selling for threes and go to the damn hole.
Right.
And
Nick,
he wouldn't do that either.
I know you got a read to do here, but I do want to get to the UFC card.
Let's do it.
And I also want to talk to you about, and I'm sorry again, my brother, but I want to talk to you about some White Sox-Yankees stuff too.
Yeah, I hope to God it's raining like hell.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the game, we got another game coming up, but please, let's do that read. Go right ahead.
All the services that you need under one roof. You started a business because you believe in what you do. Let Intrinsic Marketing bring your product or service to the market. That's what they do best. Intrinsic has the services, tools, and expertise to make it happen all in one place. Our services include web design, development, and hosting, everything you need to get online. Social media, comprehensive social media management services scaled to fit your needs. Copywriting, blog posts, articles, sales material, press releases, and online copies and more. Targeted ads, ad spends made simple, research, targeting, implementation, and results. Don't take our word for it. See for yourself. Visit intrinsicchicago.com. That's INTRINSIC Chicago.com for more info.
My brother, that UFC card last week
Was nice.
was a nice card.
Was nice.
Listen, I talked it up as the best card of the year, and then first of all, I saw the card and it was an okay card, very good.
Yeah.
I think I missed maybe the first two fights, but the middle card was pretty good. I believe there was the Ricardo Lamas Calvin Kattar fight was really decent.
Yeah.
I know that Aljamain Sterling versus Pedro Munez was a good one, and Aljamain came out after getting knocked out by Marlon Moraes. Really nasty. He was out for a long time. He comes back and wins. But that main card, and you talked about it, starting with the heavyweights, Tai Tuivasa versus Blagoy Ivanov. Mm-hmm. Man, what a fight. And those two guys, honestly, man, you're looking at maybe the future of the heavyweight division with those two guys.
Right.
Those guys don't have a lot of skin in the game with the UFC yet, so a lot of people don't know them, but Tai Tuivasa is a savage.
Yeah.
He can strike with the best of them. Stamina-wise and grappling-wise, he needs to work on his game.
Easily. And you can see that in the third round,
yeah,
especially.
And Blagoy wore him down.
He wore him down, yeah.
And that's what Blagoy does, and credit to him. I think, I want to say that I read an article saying that they're possibly talking about a rematch for them. I'd like to see that, honestly. I'd like to see how Tai, how he adjusts to Blagoy, because, man, Blagoy, when he's on top of you, it's like an anchor. He just kind of gets on top of you and he wears you down with that.
Right.
And he did a great job of that with Tai. And I know that the total amount of strikes wasn't that big of a difference.
Right.
I think Blagoy was at 58 with one knockdown of Tai, and Tai was at 50. He also had 50 significant strikes to Blagoy's 52.
Right.
So on the feet, it was pretty even, but with the takedowns, Blagoy had 2 of them, and the wearing down on the ground, Blagoy took that one home.
Yeah, it was like I said, I caught the third round of that fight because I was just coming in from work, but yeah, I could tell that what's his name was getting wore down a lot.
Tai
was getting wore down, and you could tell that Blagoy was out there really just tying them up, getting those nice little young quick hits in there.
Good game plan.
It was a good game plan, and he ended up coming out with the win.
And that Petr Yan, man, I talked him up during our show, and he really showed.
He did.
He showed. I think it was 66 total strikes. 65 of those significant for Petr Yan against Jimmy Rivera, who's a beast, guys. I mean, let's not forget Jimmy Rivera is a seasoned MMA guy and a seasoned UFC guy. He was outstruck 56-66. The significant strikes were 55-65. Yan just looked better. And more fluid.
Okay, so because I was texting you a lot during the fight. Yeah. And here's the thing that killed me about Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rivera was doing good for the first 3. He did this in rounds 1 and 2, where he was doing fine the first 3.5 minutes. And then in the last minute and a half, he would get himself caught on the cage.
Right.
And because he couldn't move,
Petr
Yan was just hitting him with flurries of hits. Mm-hmm. I thought the fight was actually going to be over in the second. I thought he almost damn near knocked him out.
Yeah.
But Rivera was able to recover and weather the storm.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, dude, why are you not moving? When you are moving, you're allowing Yan to get you against the cage where obviously you're not at your best.
Right.
And he did so if Jimmy Rivera had any indication that he was actually going to win that round, it all went away in that last minute and a half in both rounds.
And he had a really tough time finding his rhythm.
Yes.
Petr Yan is such a good level changer too.
Yes.
Meaning he's not staying, his chin doesn't stay put. He's moving. He was doing a really, and quite frankly, I've watched Yan before. He did a lot more striking in this fight than he usually does.
Right.
Most of the time he's trying to wrestle and grapple you down and hurt you that way.
Right.
What a great job by Petr Yan. And listen, guys, Petr Yan is a number 4 bantamweight in the world.
Yep.
He might get a shot at the title
Yep.
this next time around. Which we'll talk about that title fight that happened later on that night, which was a great fight.
It was. It was a great fight.
Tony Ferguson versus my boy Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah.
It was a decent-looking fight, and Donald made a big mistake.
He made a huge mistake. And here's the thing, because I was texting you this too.
Yeah.
In that first round, everyone, the guys, and let me start off by saying this. I have never been a fan of Joe Rogan calling UFC fights.
Okay.
I have been crying for Frank Shamrock to somehow come out of retirement and please do these fights because Joe Rogan drives me up a wall. There's something about him that I just can't stand. And everyone's like, oh, Nick, you should listen to his podcast, isn't that? I can barely stand him doing UFC fights. Why I want to listen to his podcast?
Yeah.
They were so hyping up Tony and Tony this and Tony's doing that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there looking at this fight. I'm like, okay, I'm not saying Tony's not doing any work.
Right.
But y'all just going to ignore some of these combos that Cerrone has been putting in?
And Cerrone's he's the winningest fighter of UFC history.
Right.
Most submissions in UFC history.
Right.
Most total fights in UFC history.
Right.
This guy's a legend in the game, and I think they were overlooking him a bit.
They were overlooking him a little bit, and then the second round happened.
And my God, Tony came out and was ready.
Just absolutely dominated him.
Yeah.
Like he hit Cerrone with at least 3 of those spinning elbows. And
Yeah,
they
my
all landed
God,
flush.
yeah.
And I was still shocked that Cerrone was even on his own 2 feet
Cerrone's
after
a
those.
fucking
And
warrior.
he's such a monster. And so what ends up happening is one of those caught his nose and ended up breaking it. He's bleeding.
But also, Nick, don't forget, this is the whole kind of controversy about that.
Right.
The round was about to end. The bell clearly sounds, and Tony hits him with one extra one on the nose.
Yep.
Now, was that the shot that broke his nose? No. His nose was clearly broken before. You talked about those spinning elbows, but was that bogus? Hell yeah, that was bogus. So
extra bogus. And on top of that, Ferguson is lucky. Because then it goes to what happened. So Cerrone's eye was damn near shut. He went to blow his nose, and his eye swelled all the way shut.
Right, which is something people tell you in any level of boxing, MMA, whatever happens, you do not try and blow your nose in the middle of a fight.
Right.
He did it, and it ballooned up his eye to the point where he couldn't even see.
And, they had to look at the replay because Dan Mirgliata was saying, okay, let's look to see where he hit him. And Tony Ferguson is lucky as hell because
hit him in the eye with that one.
It technically hit him in the nose.
Right.
If he hit him 3 inches to the right of that nose, he's disqualified.
We
at
might
that
be
point.
talking DQ.
And you were talking to DQ. So Tony Ferguson is lucky, and Tony Ferguson came out at the end. He said, Cerrone's a monster. I didn't want to win that way.
Nick, I've got some breaking news for you, my friend.
Okay.
The Pelicans have agreed to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks.
So they stayed away from
trading Kuzma.
Wow.
And they didn't need a third team to do it.
Wow.
We talked about it. I said they have to have the sense of urgency, and now ESPN is officially reporting the Pelicans have agreed to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks. Wow. I'm a little bit flabbergasted because New Orleans, they went so hard at trying to maximize the return.
Right.
And now they just kind of got back what they were going to get back earlier this season.
And is one of those picks the 4th pick?
I don't know. I don't see any breakdown, but I'm sure we will see the breakdown. I don't necessarily think that either. I feel like they would have mentioned if it was the 4th pick, right? We'll see. Because like I did talk about this earlier that the Pelicans did say, oh, you're right. It does include, agree to a deal to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, including the number 4 overall draft pick in the 2019 draft.
Wow.
Let me say something. That changes things. That's not a bad haul for New Orleans. Okay, you get 2 extra first-round picks out of it. You get 3 young players that are on contract. One of them's on contract years. And you get the number 4 overall pick this year, which, honestly, listen, Nick, if I'm the Pelicans, why not go out and get Cam Reddish at 4?
That I was just thinking. I swear on my life, I was just thinking the same exact thing.
You know, we're talking about this guy's ceiling. We're talking about how good he is and how good he can be. You can link him up with Zion,
Cam,
Drew Holiday, and Lonzo Ball.
Right, and now it really kind of revamps the draft. Because now how far down does Darius Garland go? Because a lot of people think that next to Ja, Garland's the next best point guard.
Now Kobe White may drop to the Bulls.
Drop to the Bulls. So the Bulls can now sit there at 7 and not have to make some like wild and crazy.
So Phoenix is probably a lock now for Garland.
Because they really need a point guard.
They really need a point guard. And, I mean, quite frankly, if you're the Pelicans, you probably wouldn't want to draft Garland because him and Lonzo sort of are going to play similar games. So,
and you still got Drew.
Yeah, you still got Drew.
Unless you plan on
I think it's
trading
a one.
Drew at some point.
I think what they're hoping to do, and I did see some things from Woj, and I know Woj he's not the most trusted guy at this point, but I think he talked about how the Pelicans had a really big focus on not bringing back too much salary either.
Yeah.
So that they could possibly go out and bring in a difference-making player because they think, from what I've seen, David Griffin has talked about, he thinks so much of Zion that he thinks his team can be competitive next year. I'm not sure if I agree with that per se. I think they've got a long way to go. But let me say, for example, okay, if the Pelicans have enough money to go out and bring in Boogie or go out and bring in DeAndre Jordan, and then they maybe have enough money to bring in another wing, another guard, another, whatever, that team isn't looking too bad. You're talking about Lonzo and Drew Holiday and possibly Cam Reddish and then Zion Williamson and then Brandon Ingram and then Josh Hart. Not a bad squad, and you're talking about a team that even if they're playing with house money right now. They got rid of a guy who was a malcontent for their organization. He wasn't going to come back next year. He shed so much bad light on New Orleans. Period. Even going back to, and I read an article that was prompted by Anthony Davis about how New Orleans, the Pelicans were using the Saints staff because the Bensons, who own the Saints, also own the Pelicans.
Right. And
the Bensons, to save money, which is the report, they deny that it's a money-related thing. They had the same training staff and medical staff for the Saints as they did for the Pelicans. Now, this is universally known to be a terrible idea because sports science can differ from sport to sport.
Right.
And now New Orleans has went out and brought in a new staff. They brought in a new, so he prompted a lot of change there. Wow, Nick, that happened quick.
Yeah, it's. I'm just getting it from NBA.com right now. So
number 4 is in there, which is crazy.
Lonzo, Ingram, Hart, and 3 first-round picks.
And now,
wow, that is a lot.
I'd like to see what the salary numbers look like now for the Lakers. Because they actually might still have money left after this. Because like I said, AD is not on a full max quite yet. He'll probably end up signing a contract extension. That's probably a part of the deal.
Right.
The Lakers might have money for a third guy. It might be a guy like Jimmy Butler. It might be a guy like, like a mid-tier, maybe even Kemba. Like, if you're Kemba, dude, now you can go and play with AD and LeBron.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the Lakers, they're top heavy, but we saw a top heavy team they'll go to the last 5 finals.
Yep.
Not a bad, example
we did.
to set.
And on top of that, you may be seeing that top heavy team being dismantled.
Yeah. And they're not going to be the same team next year.
No, they're not. Golden State is not going to be the same team. And even if KD and Clay both come back, they're both relatively gone for the year.
Yeah, and then you're thinking possibly maybe even another half a year for KD, and you want to be careful with Clay, so you're not going to rush him back. So, man, that changes a lot of what we were talking about earlier.
It really does.
Because I told you I thought we were going to come in next week, and it was going to happen within a couple of days. And props to New Orleans. I talked about it just a few minutes ago. They have to have a sense of urgency to get rid of this guy. And props to the Lakers. They, quite frankly, gave up a lot.
Yeah.
I thought they could have probably gotten that package and maybe kept the 4th pick.
Yeah.
And that would have helped them a lot substantially, and maybe even had them, be able to trade for another player. Man, that is a game changer. And all of a sudden now, AD is going to be locked up with LeBron, and they're going to have a shot to bring in some more guys. Nick, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm sorry to veer off of
No,
UFC,
that was breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. You can't help that, but I do want to finish up the card with you because we did.
Right, so where we left off was the end of the Ferguson-Cerrone fight. So Tony Ferguson comes out, and he says, I didn't want to win that way. That was BS. This
Props
and
to him
else.
for that. He could have just walked out and said, I got the win,
But that's what Dana White did.
Yeah.
Dana White came out and said, no, Ferguson beat the brakes off of Cerrone.
Yeah,
There's not going to be a rematch.
It would have ended.
It would have ended anyway, and we're not going to prolong this. So now, the question is, what's next for Tony Ferguson now?
And, man, listen, dude, if I'm Tony, I got to be ecstatic that Khabib mentioned my name.
Yeah.
Because Khabib was answering questions earlier this year, and they said, or earlier this week, rather, and they said, oh, well, what do you think about McGregor rematch? And he said, McGregor doesn't deserve a rematch.
And he's right.
And he's 100%
he's
correct.
100% on the money on that.
And Conor, he has a hard time arguing with that because, dude, Conor, what have you done? You've won one MMA fight in the last 4 years. And also had one amateur boxing match throughout that time.
Where Floyd gave you a fighting chance in the first 3 rounds and it just took all the way over.
And again, if you're Tony's people, God, you got to be ecstatic that Khabib said, yeah, I'd like to fight Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, because we did talk about this last week as well, Tony was supposed to fight Khabib, and Khabib missed weight because of a sickness. That's when they started calling him tiramisu because he had a picture of him eating tiramisu early in the week, and then basically a few days later he drops out of the fight. So I'd like to see that fight. I think the fight that I would like to see, Nick, I want to see Conor face Cowboy, and I want to see Tony face the winner of Khabib and Poirier. Yep. I think it's going to be Khabib. I like Poirier, but I think it's going to be Khabib.
I think so too. Yep.
And that was for obviously we talked about that wasn't a belt, that wasn't a championship fight, and there was 2 championship fights that won. Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko, my God, she almost killed Jessica Ai in that octagon. Hit her with a nasty right head kick, and Jessica was out for like 10 minutes, dude. It felt like we were thinking about, oh my God, this might be a serious thing. We'd have to bring the ambulance into the thing. Thank God she woke up. Thank God she was conscious. Thank God she was walking on her own, because that was a vicious kick by Valentina. I don't see anybody. I quite frankly at this point don't see anybody right now in the women's flyweight that can compete with Valentina.
And here's, if you watch the fight, it was the most ultimate setup that led to the head kick, because
she was fainting a lot towards that. Yeah.
In the first round, she kicked her 3 times in the stomach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And she was going for the head, like she was guarding the head, but Shevchenko kept getting her in the stomach.
Right.
And then she took her down, and then, she was kind of grounded pounding, but Jessica Ai was able to weather the storm in the second round. Well, then the start of the second round, Shevchenko kicked her again in the stomach.
Yeah.
And she went for the head. So obviously those kicks were hurting her a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much so that when she knew she was going for the kick, she thought she was going low,
and
she went high and got her flesh to the dome.
And
I'm talking about no, it was like one of those crow cop kicks.
Yeah,
you know they used
where
to ask,
it ends on the neck almost because of her foot.
Yeah, and they used to ask Crow Cop because he was such a dangerous head kicker, like how hard are your head kicks? And he said left foot hospital, right foot death. And that left foot almost put her dead in the hospital because there was no blocking that. There was no it was just a straight kick. You know, I mean, it was just all power to the dome. It got eye flesh on the dome, and she was out.
And we both talked about how, you know, before that fight, that wasn't the best matchup for Jessica Eye.
It was not.
That's a new. Let's be honest. That's a new division to the UFC, the flyweight division. They opened it up to open up some opportunities for some ladies, and I think Dana White looking for a fight. It starts this Tuesday.
Yep.
I believe that they're going to start recruiting better flyweights because they need it, because Valentina is going to run through every girl. I mean, let's not forget, guys, Valentina beat the brakes off of Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yep.
And 2 years ago, Joanna Jędrzejczyk was thought of as the best pound-for-pound fighter, male or female, in the world.
Right.
So let's think about that. I do need to get to this Marlon Moraes.
Let's talk about this
Henry
one.
Cejudo. So we both had Moraes in this fight.
Yep.
I thought, man, that first round, Moraes came out and was abusing Henry.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
Beating him down and was efficient, but also getting really good shots in on him. And, dude, honestly, Nick, I don't really like Henry Cejudo.
Right.
Okay? Personally, I think he's just not the type of guy that I rally around. I think there's a lot of artificial things about his personality.
Right.
I don't necessarily care about that. I think some fighters think that they have to, make up that personality, and I think he's one of those guys.
Right.
What a freaking comeback by Henry Cejudo.
Yes.
Not only did he weather the storm in that first round, but then the next half round in the round two, he was looking like it was the same trajectory as the first round. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, he starts to move a little bit more. He gets a couple of shots in on Marlon, and then Marlon looks like he's gassed.
Yeah.
That he's never been in a fight past 2 rounds. And then Henry took over.
Remember what I texted you? I was like, has Moraes never learned how to defend Muay Thai?
Yeah, my God.
Because Cejudo, like you said, he gets the 2 shots in, and then Cejudo starts going after his head.
Right.
And the minute Moraes let him grab both heads, this man's just ramming Muay Thai knees. Mm-hmm. And like, Moraes, you don't see what's going on right now?
Yeah.
You don't see these knees coming in?
Yeah.
And I mean, he's just laying them out on the knees, and then finally he's able to take them down. And Cejudo at that point is just pure ground and pound from that point forward. And you're
dominated the ground.
I mean, just dominated the ground and ground. And you're right, dude. Like, Moraes looked like he was gassed, like he's never been in the 3rd round of a fight before.
Weird, yeah.
And at that point, Cejudo kind of smelled the blood in the water because in that 3rd round, he came out and did the same exact thing where he was grabbing what's-his-name's head, got a couple of good knees in there. Moraes isn't blocking a damn thing.
No.
And the next thing you know, boom, he's back on the ground, and at that point, it was just raining blows.
People forget,
and Moraes just couldn't handle it.
People forget Cejudo. The reason why he beat Mighty Mouse was because he wore him down.
Yeah,
he was he was clinching, wearing him down in certain aspects, and every time DJ gave him one, Cejudo gave him one right back.
Yep.
And man, much credit to Henry Cejudo. Double champ, and he wants to call himself Triple C now, triple champ, because he does have an Olympic gold medal. Okay, cool.
And he's got the bantamweight?
Yeah, he's got the bantamweight and also the I believe, he's the bantamweight and then the flyweight champion as well.
Yeah.
But did you see the Bella twins with him? He's got a big ongoing thing with Nikki Bella, and she's got a sister, right? It's her sister.
Bree's married
Bella.
to Daniel Bryan, or
Daniel
Bryan.
Yeah. And he went on Ariel Helwani's show like the last time he won, and then called out Nikki Bella, and then was like, let's date or whatever, and then now he's just on this tour where he's just kind of being annoying and just.
Well, you know what? Nikki Bella's on the market. You know, she was with John Cena,
yeah.
and that somehow died out. So, but here's the thing about Henry Cejudo. The next time you go out on a rant on your post-game interview, how about you give us 3 fighters that are actually fighting?
Yeah, please. I mean,
he said, I want to make the heavyweight money, so let me fight Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber, and I, for the life of me, couldn't think of the third guy.
Why would he even call out Faber when Faber's, first of all, is 40 years old, coming back out of retirement?
Thank you.
You know, what are you doing, dude? And you know what he also said on Ariel Helwani's show? He said, I might not fight again. He said, if they don't pay me, I'm not going to fight.
That's what he was saying. Yeah. I believe that. The way that he was talking in that interview,
it seemed like...
I don't blame him, but at the same time, it's like, Henry, dude, you're a flyweight.
Right.
You know
Please know your role.
Know your right. In the words of The Rock, know your role and shut
your mouth.
No matter where you're going, no matter what federation you're going to fight for, you're not going to make the same money.
No, hell no. And let me say something about that. The UFC does have to do a better job of paying their fighters.
I'm not disagreeing
and
with
I
that.
think they're going to.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get to that point. But Cejudo, man, listen, dude. We're talking about Cejudo, a guy who 2 years ago was not even in the picture.
Right.
He was not a guy that anybody thought of. He beats DJ, and everybody goes, whoa, he beat DJ. And then he faces Dillashaw, and everyone goes, oh, okay, that's the end of it. Dillashaw's going to take him down. Boom, he knocks out Dillashaw as well. Now this guy starts to get some confidence. He's calling for another belt. Credit to him, though. He did beat Marlon. Marlon's a beast, dude.
Yeah.
Marlon's going to be back. He just needs to work on himself here.
Right.
And then I do want to talk about 239 with you, Nick, because we're about a month. We're probably 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
There's a couple of cards in between it that are going to be fight nights that will be interesting. As of right now, the main card I think is the only thing that's out right now for them. Jan Blachowicz versus Luke Rockhold for a middleweight. I believe, I'm not sure what they're fighting at. I want to say they're fighting at light heavyweight. I think Luke Rockhold's going up.
Okay.
Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm, and then John Jones versus Thiago Santos is going to be a freaking barn burner.
It is.
So that's going to be, you got Diego Sanchez, Michael Chiesa on that card.
Oh, and congratulations to Diego Sanchez and Clay Guida for making the Hall of Fame.
That fight is one of the best fights of all time. Congrats to them.
Too.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
Sean O'Malley, who hasn't fought in a long time because of some weird drug stuff, is going to be back on that fight, or on that card rather. Gilbert Melendez, Ben Askren, Jorge Masvidal. My God, that card is so stacked. And I love Jorge Masvidal. He's my favorite guy in the UFC right now. I hope him and Ben Askren have a good fight, but I think Ben Askren's going to get dominated. What a freaking card, Nick.
Yeah, the one that sticks out for me is the Holly Holm versus Amanda Nunes fight. I mean, obviously, we saw Amanda Nunes in her last fight dominated Cyborg. The fight before that, she pretty much retired the great Ronda Rousey, made her go into the WWE.
Yeah.
But let's not sleep on Holly Holm, because no offense to Amanda Nunes, you would have never knocked out Ronda Rousey if Holly Holm didn't head kick the bejesus out of her first and knocked her ass out.
And Holly lost that title too, but she's up there.
She's still a monster.
Yeah.
You know, is she the same beast that Amanda Nunes is? No. Amanda Nunes is on a whole nother stratosphere. But Holly Holm is no wuss. You know, she's going to go toe-to-toe. You know, what is she, like a 7-time striking champion?
She's 37 years old and has been through what she says is probably close to 200 total fights in her career.
Right.
Which is insane.
Right. So you know, that fight for me, I think is the one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those where Amanda Nunes, I know she's on top of the world. She's a 2-belt champ.
Yeah.
Don't come in too cocky, because you could eat a foot and your ass be knocked out, and then you're going to be sitting there crying. I'm wondering how you're going to get a rematch.
Holly's got the perfect style for Amanda.
Yes.
Amanda wants to get close, and Holly wants to stay and keep her distance.
Right.
That's going to be a really interesting fight. Dude, John Jones versus Thiago Santos. People are sleeping on this fight because not a lot of people know about Santos.
Exactly.
But that guy is, first of all, he hits hardest. I think he hits harder than anybody else in the UFC. That guy can put you out with a jab if he wanted to.
Right.
So that fight is going to be really interesting. I still think John Jones is there. I still think he's going to be the guy. Yeah. And I'll go as far as to say I'm rooting for him in this fight because I want to see him fight DC one more time. And I also would like to see him keep pace and try and maybe fight Stylebender down the line. Maybe another year or two, fight Stylebender and end your career that way. But John Jones versus Thiago Santos is a crazy one. Amanda Nunes. We talked about Luke Rockhold and Jan Blachowicz. And then, Gamebred Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Ben Askren, listen, dude, this guy's got a lot of hype around him. The UFC traded Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson for Ben Askren to ONE FC. They thought they were going to get back this kind of, really, edgy sort of like new age type wrestler. And he barely beats Robbie Lawler. Right. And, technically he didn't really beat Robbie. I mean, Robbie didn't tap. He went out for a second, and then after they let go, Robbie was back up. So it'll be interesting to see that. And like I said, there's a couple fights or a couple cards in between then in the next 2 or 3 weeks too. So props to the UFC, man. They're putting out some good products.
And when I saw that, I'm like, damn, this is going to be a nice little card.
Nice card. And let's not forget, dude, we've got Poirier and Khabib coming up the month after that. Mm-hmm. The UFC's got good shit cooking up right now. They've got to stay consistent on that.
I agree.
And I do want to talk really quick because I know we don't got much time here, and I know you got to do that last read here. Happy birthday to you, my brother.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your birthday was yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I know that you attended the White Sox games.
Oh, my God, dude. The Yankees are pissing me off so bad. Okay, so I wasn't able to make it to the game yesterday because traffic blows so hard that by the time I got to where I wanted to be at the train station to get to the game, the White Sox were already up 4-1.
Yeah.
The Yankees
after the Yankees go up 1-0.
1-0. Luke Voigt hits a moonshot. Yeah. Off of Lucas Giolito, and then CeCe Sabathia comes out and gives up 4 runs. Yeah. And, Eloy Jimenez had another 2-home-run game. Yeah. The same thing he did in New York. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, so what's driving me nuts is the people that I'm kind of blaming is the coaching staff. I'm getting on Boone, Rothschild, and Timms because Boone's handling of the bullpen is going to cost the Yankees in the end. Yeah. Stop bringing out these garbage-ass pitchers that can't throw.
Cessa.
Okay?
And,
the main culprit is Luis Cessa.
Yeah.
He drives me freaking nuts. Why does this man continuously have a roster spot? He sucks. I can't think of one time. I know the last time, the first time we did a real full show, I was getting on Jonathan Holder. Mm-hmm. But I'm giving him a pass because Holder's actually been pitching well. But freaking, dude, Cessa blows.
He brings in Cessa and doesn't have anybody else in the bullpen warming up. So Cessa's basically on an island and has to get through the inning.
Meanwhile, on Green Street, you bring David Hale to pitch the 7th and the 8th, and the man had 2 scoreless innings.
Yep.
David Hale's ERA going to yesterday was 2.75, but you bring in Cessa, whose ERA is well over 4.
And the game was still within reach. I have no idea why. I have no idea why they did that.
So then that gets me onto Larry Rothschild, who I feel, in my own personal opinion, his welcome in New York, in my opinion, has been worn out. Because you're going to tell me Zach Britton, at one point in his career, had a streak where he didn't even give up a run in for so long. It was some 50 straight appearances.
Yeah.
He can't throw his sinker.
Right.
His sinker is either too low, it's in the middle. There's no in between.
Can't throw for a strike anymore.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what are you doing, Larry Rothschild, to get a light of fire in their asses and say, let's go?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
And Nick, dude, honestly, I know Aaron Boone hasn't done terribly, But a lot of people forget Aaron Boone never managed before this team.
Never.
He's never managed a team ever in his whole career before this. And I know he comes from a famous baseball family, and I know that his dad had a great career, his brother had a great career, and his dad was a very big, influential guy as far as the managerial stuff is concerned. This is a guy who looks inexperienced.
Yes.
You can tell he's like an inexperienced guy. You don't like, for example, it's 4-1. You bring in Sessa. You don't have anybody up in the pen. And what that basically says is we're going to win or lose this game with this guy. That's too early to do that.
And not only did you bring in Sessa, but then you brought in Sessa with guys on base.
Yeah.
So now you didn't get right.
CC, yeah.
So now you bring in Sessa. He gives up the hit that makes it 5-1. And then this is where I get on Marcus Thames. Can you please tell the fellas to stop swinging for the damn fence?
Yeah, they were going for the...
Twice the Yankees had guys, first and second no outs. Twice they grounded into double plays and killed it.
Yeah, and listen, credit to Lucas. Credit to Lucas Giolito. Honestly, he's been pitching like a Cy Young type pitcher, but he did have some chinks in his armor where you thought, oh my God, the Yankees are going to figure this out when he walked the leadoff batter and then they got a single.
Yes.
And you basically got first and second with one out. You're thinking, shit, this is what Giolito did last year, and this is when he had a tough stretch. He's had now 3 games in a row where he's pitched 6+ innings of 1-run ball.
Yeah, dude. And at one point, the Yankees only had like 2 hits in like 5 or 6 innings. It wasn't to the 7th to where he was kind of getting tired.
Yeah.
And he gave up the 2 hits and they brought him out. And the Yankees still did jack stuff against. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous.
The Yankees need pitching, huh?
Okay, they really need serious pitching, but here's the problem with that. The Yankees,
they struck out on Keuchel.
They struck out on Keuchel, but I understand the reason why the Yankees were hesitant in bringing him in.
Yeah.
The only team in the American League East that Dallas Keuchel had any success against were the Yankees.
Okay.
So it wouldn't make any sense if he can't beat the Orioles suck, but if you can't beat the Blue Jays, the Rays, or the Red Sox, you're useless.
Yeah.
So then that's why they struck out on him. But then you're talking about, okay, so what's going to happen with the Nationals and Max Scherzer? Well, you're going to have to trade the farm to bring in Max Scherzer. So then what are your other options? I don't want Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah.
Madison Bumgarner had went from being a World Series hero to being a home run giving up bitch.
Curmudgeon-y old man who doesn't like when people hit.
Thank you. And I'm so with the dude that hit the home run off of him, and he go yell, "Hey man, you can just run the bases. If you wanted to go in the ocean, go get it. Stupid ass.
Max
Don't leave a
Muncy,
fastball down the middle of the damn plate where I could put it up there and think that I'm not gonna walk down and look at it.
Yeah, come on,
stupid.
Dude. He hit it into the freaking ocean, bro.
Thank you. I look at it too. Yeah. And then on top of that, once I cross home plate, I would turn around and talk more shit and say something else.
Good for Muncy on that one.
Exactly, man. These pitchers out here trying to be prima donnas.
I agree, though. Listen, Scherzer, I love the guy. I think he's a rare breed in as far as pitchers are concerned. But maybe you're getting another 2 years out of him. Maybe. I mean, he's getting up there in age. Yeah. His stuff is starting to deteriorate too. I mean, let's be honest. I know the White Sox didn't get a chance to pitch against or to play against him, but his numbers this year are sporadic.
Right.
You're going to have to gamble with a guy like, again, if we're talking Bumgarner, you probably don't want that. No. You're going to have to, if you're thinking about possibly think about Scherzer, you don't want to give up too much in that Scherzer deal.
So then you come with the third option. And the third option, because you've already dealt with them before, it's the Toronto Blue Jays. See what is for Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
What's the price on that? I feel like Stroman might be the cheapest of the 3.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to clown Brian Cashman and be like, we want Clint and maybe like a Gio or something. No. You're going to get maybe 2 decent AA prospects.
Yeah. And they'll be happy with it.
And we'll take on the whole salary, and they're not going to trip about it. It's almost the same thing that you gave up when Jay Happ went over there.
Oh, Jay Happ,
you're going to get a similar package of what you got because Toronto, once again, that middle-of-the-road team, sometimes you think they're going to be good and they're not. I think Marcus Stroman can use a change of scenery.
Yeah,
and I think he still has really good stuff. And the Yankees need a pitcher, so I think that Toronto and New York can work out a deal. But they got to figure something out. Like Aaron Boone, at some point, like the coaching staff needs to sit with him and be like, "Little Aaron." You know, that's the reason why you have a bench coach.
Right.
So you can lean on somebody and say, hey, man, you know, if you have any questions, be like, hey, man, maybe we should bring in David Hale instead of Sessa in this point.
Especially if you've never managed before in your career. You need a guy that's going to direct you like that.
Exactly. And that's something that, you know, I know the Yankees, for some reason, when it comes to June and July, like in the beginning of July, like the Yankees, for whatever reason, suck in June. They hang on in April, they explode in May, and then they just suck balls in June.
Yeah.
They did the same thing last year, and then the deficit was so bad with the Red Sox, they were never able to catch up.
Right.
They got to get it fixed this year. They can't do that, especially if you don't watch out. The Red Sox miraculously are playing the Baltimore Orioles. They're not losing anytime soon. The Rays just lost. This is a big game because the Yankees are doing the opener thing. They haven't lost the start.
They're going to do that today, you're saying?
They're doing,
Okay.
And they haven't lost the start yet when they use it, or a game yet when they use the opener.
Interesting. And let me say this, to the Yankees' credit. They've literally have an all-star team on the DL almost.
Yeah.
They are going to get Stanton back soon. They're going to be getting Judge back, not as soon as Stanton.
Probably at the end of the month.
Probably sooner than you think. And then all of a sudden now, if you're able to kind of get this pitching staff in order, because, dude, I mean, I'll say this, even without Judge and Stanton, this Yankees lineup is stacked.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got guys that, I mean, I was still until it went to 10-1. I was still a little bit nervous.
I don't blame you.
About the game, because I'm thinking, well, the Sox bullpen is spotty, and you've got these guys who can get 2 or 3 guys on base and then hit a dinger, and all of a sudden, boom, you're back in this game. So credit to the White Sox, though, man. I want to say that. You know, people need to start to look at the White Sox a little bit differently. This isn't last year's team. This isn't 2 years ago. All you White Sox fans who are hating on Rick Renteria, who are hating on this team's approach to this season, take a look at what's happened over the last couple of games.
Right.
Take a look at the teams that they've beaten when it comes to Houston, Boston, New York.
Yep.
And some of these teams, and they've got a tough schedule.
They got Tampa coming up soon.
Coming up soon. They got the Cubs coming up soon. They got, I think we're going to play the Yankees again sometime next month.
No. This is it.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
This is it.
Yeah, so listen, dude. The White Sox, they have a young core. No doubt they're still learning to win. But don't sleep on this team, bro. This White Sox, this White Sox pitching staff is not the best in the world. They're missing a couple of pieces right now. But if the White Sox somehow become buyers at the deadline, which we talked about this in another show, there's only one trade deadline now, so there's no more dumb. There's no more dumb
waiver wire.
Yeah. So there's going to be teams now who are going to be really, really itching to trade guys by July 1st. So because I think the deadline is July 31st, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So if the White Sox, let's just say, for example, they come out and play out of their minds the next 10 games and win 7 of them, you're looking at being 7 games over 500.
Yep.
Very close to the wild card. And let's be honest, guys, it's too early to give the Twins the division. Okay? The Twins haven't proven yet that they can sustain this for 162 games.
Right.
So we've got to start to put pressure on them. The offense is there, dude. Eloy is starting to come out and really show that he's a guy that's not only progressing, but now he's a guy that you need to be really worried about when you're pitching to him, okay? You don't want to give him that. The Yankees, for some reason, didn't read the scouting report on this guy. You want to throw him sliders and you want to throw him breaking stuff away,
right?
Not in the zone, because if you give him anything off speed in the zone, this guy's got such an effortless swing. It's going to go 450 feet, and you're not even going to know it went.
And he did it twice.
And in the series before against the Nationals, he hit one into the concourse at the rate. So you got to be careful with this team. All you White Sox fans who are talking about fire Renteria, trade Abreu, trade what you can. We need to shut the hell up. This team is learning to win now, and we need to sustain this and find a way to build on this.
And the Cub fans aren't going to say anything about it because we won the World Series in 2016. But how does it feel that two of the young studs that are here in Chicago right now are two guys that were your blue chip prospects? Mm-hmm. You know, Eloy is in Chicago, and then Gleyber Torres is in New York. Yeah. And Gleyber actually had a pretty good game on Thursday,
and he's going to be an even better player.
He's only get better.
How old is he? He's not even. He's like 20.
I think he's only 20. He's not 21 yet.
Yeah. So come on, and that was. Let's not forget, Nick. That was for a 1-year run. So now you did get a World Series out of that. Good for you. But in our case, Nick, they gave up Eloy for Quintana. They also gave up Dylan Cease, who's one of our top pitchers in the minors. He's going to come up soon, probably in the next month or so, because we're going to need him. We need starting pitchers.
And I think that's why the Yankees have yet to trade Esteban Florio, who's big time blue chip outfielder, because they're probably looking at them like, wait a minute, we don't want to go that. You have to give us
something
the right deal.
Yeah.
In order for us to have to trade our blue chip for someone like this. You get what I'm saying?
And the Yankees are still in it. I mean, let's not overreact here. The Yankees have lost a couple of games to the White Sox here. But that doesn't.
But the White Sox have had their number all year.
White Sox, and when we went to New York, it was we had a really competitive series.
Yeah.
So
but let me say this too, because a friend of mine was talking about when she saw the game yesterday, she was like, this is why I was against the Yankees bringing back CC and Gardner.
Yeah.
I agree with her on Gardner. I kind of agree with her on CC. I think it was his last year, so the Yankees gave him a pity contract.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with Brett Gardner. You have when the Yankees signed Aaron Hicks to the 7-year, $70 million deal, that should have been Brett Gardner's pink ticket to go out. Because now you're going to have Clint, who's trying to come up. Aaron Hicks is in center. Judge is going to be in right. Then you're going to have bring in Stanton in that.
Is it the contract? Is it the contract that they can't move, or what? What is it with Gardner?
They re-signed him.
Oh,
he was a free agent, and they gave him a 1-year deal. Now,
okay. So it's not a long-term thing, but they re-signed him.
They re-signed him.
And I do see the value in maybe bringing in a veteran guy like that as a stopgap. But man, honestly, Nick, it's hard to watch CC sometimes too. Like against the White Sox, I know it was a bad game. This guy is a veteran, one of the best pitchers of all time. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not the same guy right now.
And let me say this, because she said something else too. And as a big guy, I completely 100% agree with her. I know CC's been a big dude his entire
He does look a little extra. He looks a little extra on the
If
on the
you're
belly
having
side.
knee problems.
Right. You need to lose some weight, bro.
Bruh, come on, man. You gonna sit here and tell me these doctors ain't told you, look, bruh. Because CC Sabathia already came out and said that I'm going to have to get my knee replaced when I'm done with baseball.
I'm done, right, yeah.
Bruh, you pushing damn near 300 pounds trying to pitch a ball, off a mound, and all the torque comes from the legs.
Yeah. And he's not exactly a guy that's going to kill you with velocity, but
not anymore.
His movement is really bad. I mean, at least it was bad yesterday, where the balls were not moving the way that they should, and the White Sox were they knew how to hit it.
Eloy freaking smashed that home run on a slider that didn't even move.
Right. And listen again. I want to give the White Sox a little bit of credit here. They went out and took that game, and the reason why they took that game was philosophy-wise, they're doing a lot better this year.
Yep.
Attacking pitchers.
Yep.
In previous years, CC would have been able to beat us in that game. Why? Because we would have played his game.
Right.
We would have let him throw that cutter early and let him have those easy strikes. Instead, the White Sox were swinging from inning one and making sure that he was giving them the best stuff that he can.
Right.
The Yankees need to do a better job of playing the role and saying, CC, we need you here to come out, give us 5 really good innings, give us your best stuff from pitch 1. Because he did show even later on into his stint that he could get guys out when he wants to.
Right.
He's just not focused from pitch 1, and that's going to hurt him.
It's going to kill him.
Because he doesn't have the stuff anymore.
Right.
They are playing. They're going to start up another one right now, and I do need to mention, because our producer Steve did mention this to us, guys. We are going to be taking voicemails for next week. This is a really cool feature. Allow you to leave a voicemail and basically have a question ready for us for next week. We're talking anything by remember, guys, we're talking NBA draft, NHL draft. We're going to talk a lot about football too, just because I need to talk some football with my man here because it's been too long. But otherwise, please leave that voicemail, guys. The phone number for that is 312-869-4117. The voice message is for Intrinsic Marketing, one of our sponsors. So please leave a message. Have any questions, comments, anything, shout outs, whatever you guys want to do. The phone number again, 312-869-4117. Nick, I know you got one more read for us, but
yes, sir.
And then we'll wrap this bad boy up.
Are you interested in starting a podcast? Boss to Boss Productions is looking for interesting ideas for new shows. Boss to Boss makes it easy to get your show up and running. They handle audio and video production and editing, logo design and branding, website design and hosting, RSS feed setup, scheduling, advertise, monetization, and more. If you have an idea for a podcast or would like to advertise a product on an existing show, send us a message at bosstoboss.com. That's boss, BOSSED, the number 2 boss.com.
My man. Well, we've got the White Sox playing the Yankees in another maybe 5-10 minutes. I think it probably should have already had first pitch unless it's delayed by now.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know if it's raining or not.
Oh, okay. I can't tell either. But we'll definitely. I want to talk to you a little bit how the series wraps up next week. We'll also talk NBA draft. I gotta sneeze. Oh my God! Yep. Excuse me. We'll talk NBA draft.
It must be raining. It is delayed.
It is. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's delayed. That one, honestly, Nick, might get postponed.
It's fine. Hey, day not doubleheader tomorrow's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, dude.
You'll be there.
Do it. Yeah, we'll rock it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about that next week. We'll also talk about the NBA and NHL draft. Yep. I do want to sneak in a little bit of football talk on us so that we can
do it.
We got to get ramped up
because I'm just going to make this executive decision on the air right now.
Please.
The training camps. We'll figure out whatever 8 weeks is before the first NFL game is. We'll figure out whatever 8 weeks are.
The Thursday game.
It's going to be right, and it's going to be in July, and we'll break down each division one by one. So we'll do that here on the show.
That's gonna be dope.
And then, we'll have, fantasy talk will be coming up soon.
Oh yeah, we're big on fantasy. So if you guys like fantasy, you're gonna love this show over the next couple of weeks.
We're gonna do that. So most definitely have your questions ready for fantasy and stuff like that. But we're gonna be talking a lot of baseball and a lot of MMA and stuff coming up. And we mentioned last week that we'll be doing, draft talk. But you know what? From then on out, we'll. The NBA is so interesting because even in the offseason, there's always some story about something.
Right. We just saw it right now. It pops up and you don't even know it.
The Lakers making that deal, and then, the free agency will be looming, and we'll talk about who does what with who. Will be a lot of baseball talk. But it won't be for long because once we get into the training camp segment, it's really going to take a lot of time. So
it could be a lot to talk about.
It'll be a lot to talk about. So, just hang in there. People are already doing their countdowns for how much time we got left until football season.
I'm already counting, man. I can't wait.
College football is going to be coming up here soon.
Oh, I can't wait.
So we'll get into that as well.
Leave us voicemails, guys, please. We want to hear from you next week. 312-869-4117. Leave us a message. Let's talk next week. All right, Nick.
All right, let's do it. Yep, let's go ahead and wrap it up. It's a great show.
Thank you,
I want to thank everybody that wished me happy birthday yesterday. I love you, New York Yankees, but don't piss me off. You won for me last year in New York. You come to Chicago and wet the bed, but I still love you guys. I want to thank everybody. Thank you. 36 is going to be big. I know I got gray hairs in my beard. It's going to be gone soon, but I call it wisdom. My homie was like, I see you got some wisdom in your beard. Yeah. I was like, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. So that's what I got. So, I'm out here.
We're going to call it seasoning. Like I'm going to stick with seasoning,
baby.
Seasoning, baby.
All right. So thank you, and we'll see you guys next week. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do go, Hey, are you doing a side project show soon? I've been meaning to ask you.
I am. That. So, guys, I'm hoping, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks. I'm putting it off week by week because of work stuff.
Fair enough.
But yes, we will be doing a solo venture. It's going to be more of an interview style show.
Okay.
So you will 100% be on that.
Hell
we will make sure to get you on that. But yeah, there is going to be a little bit of a solo venture. Please, guys, if you aren't already watching the Bear Cave, guys, please make sure you're watching the Bear Cave. It is must-watch stuff in the middle of the week. I'm telling you, you want to make your Thursdays better. Are we doing Tuesdays. I'm sorry. So, guys, make sure to check that out. I'm telling you, it's some fun stuff, and it's definitely a lot different than this show. I like that you bring in sports, but I like that you also focus on other stuff.
Yeah,
too,
you know what I'm
dope.
saying? Because since we do the Mack and Black every Saturday, there's so much that goes in. I like to try and tie the knots.
Yeah.
And then like, they'll get a little loose, and then we'll just retie them again here on the show. So definitely look forward to that. Thursday, though, I'm glad you brought up Thursday because here's the dilemma I have on Thursday. I'm making all executive decisions on there. This is how I roll.
Let's do it.
Okay. My homies do a show called the Pain Train Pipe Bomb on Thursdays.
Okay.
I am not a fan of colliding podcasts. I hate doing it. If I know you're doing a show on a day, I will purposely not do it on a day so we don't collide.
Right.
So here's what I'm probably gonna do. Because the NBA draft is Thursday, I'm definitely doing a Bear Cave Tuesday.
Okay.
I will probably do a quick 30-minute pregame show.
That'd be dope.
Of the NBA draft until
dope,
they come on.
Yeah, that's dope.
Then while they're on, the draft will be happening. And then once they come off, I might do a 30-minute to an hour post game to kind of recap everything that happened. And then we'll focus more on it here in the
There's going to be a lot to talk about anyway.
And then Friday, we'll see what happens Friday as far as the NHL draft is concerned.
Yeah.
We'll if anything, I probably won't do anything Friday, and then we'll just hit it bull's horn. Grab the bull by the horns.
Absolutely.
Right here
Saturday.
on Saturday.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So guys, if you aren't already subscribed to Nick and his page, please do so.
Yep.
If you're not watching the Bear Cave, you guys need to make sure to do that.
And don't trip. I probably should start doing. I should make a Facebook page.
We're gonna I was gonna say we're gonna get that going because the Bear Cave is again, guys. It's a great show. Separate from this, I know a lot of people have told me that they love hearing us talk, but they don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
That's
sometimes.
true. I have heard that too.
So listen, guys, the Bear Cave is a lot more sort of oriented towards entertainment, which I love.
Yes.
And my solo thing is going to be a lot more geared towards having real conversations with people about real stuff, about their life and about our relationship. You already know my man here is going to be on it. I'm going to have my brother on it. I'm going to have all sorts of my friends here on it. So it's going to be dope. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But again, guys, the Bear Cave, make sure to leave us some voicemails next week. 312-869-4117.
Yeah. All right, then. So for Mac, I'm Black. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to Boss to Boss.
Thank Boss to Boss. Intrinsic Marketing.
Hodgepodge. We're going to see you guys next week.
Peace.
Deuce.